This is a Miami Sports Music Podcast Network production. This is the #1 Miami fan morning show. Clock blockers, let's go.
I know the whole city riding. A little early, it's a bit surprising. Business moves, now we enterprising. Switch it up, now we improvising. Go to get in the winter column.
What's up, baby?
Biz for life, we throw the folk. Singing this just to welcome bro. To a time, to a time.
What's
Time
up?
to ride, time to shine. To a time, to a
Good
time.
morning,
To a time, to a time. To a time, to a
my
time.
Fins family and my Fin laws. What a day. What a day to be a Miami fan, period, of any Miami fan team. It is the #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. Good morning. My name is Steven Daniels. You can follow me on all social media at Steven D SKPL. Spread kindness, positivity, and love. Make sure you all do that there. Follow me everywhere. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. Also, you can follow Miami Sports Music everywhere at Miami Sports Music, except online where we are at MIA Sports Music. Want to remind you all too to hit that like button. Give us that thumbs up. Hit it. Doesn't cost anything. Make sure you hit that like button. And most importantly, subscribe to the channel. Want to remind y'all as well, if you want to sign up and become a member today, there are plenty of seats waiting for you at the table. You just need to sign up. If you look in the description below, you'll see subscribe now. Hit subscribe now. Can we get 3 new members to the channel today? Make sure you sign up and become part of the family. That's right. Your seat is waiting for you today. If you want to help the channel grow by donating, there's lots of different ways you can do it. You can use the YouTube Live Super Chat, which is the $ below the bottom of the chat, where you guys can use the super sticker or super chat there. If you guys are rewatching this on replay and not watching this live, you can always hit the super thanks, which is the heart sign with the $ in the middle. You can do that as well. If you don't want to use YouTube, you can always use Cash App or PayPal, which is $ MSM Podcast Network, or use the QR code that's right on your screen. or PayPal, which is also MSM Podcast Network, or use the QR code on your screen. Want to give a big shout out to our sponsors of the show today, ZSM Sports. ZSM Sports, the number one place to get your cards, jerseys, balls, and hard-to-find items. Make sure you follow ZSM Sports today and give Zachary a call and let him know, hey, man, what autograph signings do you have coming up? Because I need to get some stuff. And Zachary's got everything you need for South Florida sports when it comes to autograph and sports memorabilia. And we also want to give a big shout out to Tail Greeter. Download the app today on your current Crapple or Android devices. That's right. I say Crapple to all you Apple people out there. Android for life, baby. Download the app today on your current Apple or Android device today. It's a free app, doesn't cost anything, and you get access to the best tailgates around. All right, we got a big show lined up for you today. We're going to talk little Panthers win Game 7, Heat win Game 1, Miami Dolphins draft class breakdown, and we have a special guest, and he's already in the back room. So we're going to bring him on now. We're going to get this party started early this morning because, hey, this is all about the best content of every moment that we can get, and we got the best guest. The guy who does Locked On Dolphins. He does some of the best draft content around. In fact, there's nobody better in the Miami Dolphins community, in my opinion, and that's no disrespect to anybody else, who covers the draft better than this man that we're about to bring on. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Mr. Kyle Krabs. What's up, Kyle?
I got to be honest, after the Panthers win last night and the Heat win over the weekend, this Dolphins draft class, no first-round pick, feels a little lead-off spot here versus those storylines. I mean, they outstanding performance for South Florida sports over the weekend.
Oh, my God. It was so much fun watching the game last night, that Game 7. You couldn't go to sleep. I was watching your Twitter. You were like, oh, you guys are killing me. I'm trying to do work here, and this game is on. This is the best game ever. It was an amazing game last night. It was awesome.
Yeah, and I'm not even – I have not been a other sport person for a long time with kind of the hustle of everything that I was doing with Draft Network when I was still there, and I've transitioned, and I'm all the way in on Dolphins and Locked On content now. So it opens up a lot more time. Like I don't have to worry about all the other draft classes as much this year, the other 31 draft classes. It's really just digesting this Dolphins draft class. So I actually had time to put the game on TV, and needless to say, I think I'm hooked on hockey. I think the Panthers, Vamos Gatos, I think they got me.
It was awesome, man. Well, round 2 is starting soon. We're going to talk a little more Panthers later on in the show today, but they advanced to face the Toronto Maple Leafs, and that's going to be a whole other thing. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to have one of your Locked On brothers on today from Locked On Panthers covering the draft. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Talking about what's his name? Armando. Armando's coming on, I believe, later on in the show today to talk with Locked On Panthers. I got the whole Locked On family coming on this week, actually.
Good stuff.
Alec going to come on, and I'm hoping to get everybody from the Locked On family on this weekend. So shout out to Locked On Sports. You guys are great over there.
Appreciate it.
All right, man, let's get into it. Before we dive into exactly all these, draft picks, the 4 that we had, coming into the weekend, what was your thought process? Where did you think the Miami Dolphins were going to go? Because it sounds like, at least to the fan perspective, and we are the fan perspective here at Miami Sports Music, they were going to address some other needs, and they decided depth was a little bit better than some of the needs that we as fans thought was the priority. What did you think going into the weekend?
Yeah, so obviously – I do think for the Dolphins offensive line, which has been a huge talking point for about a decade now for the Dolphins, if we're being honest, because it's been a very infrequent performer. There's been a ton of turnover in the coaching staff. They've made a lot of investments. Some of those have hit, more than half of them have not. So it's kind of – and when you have a quarterback with durability questions, you want to feel as though that group is as stable as it possibly can be. So I get it. I expected that if there was an opportunity to add a potential starter based on the performance of the left guard and the right tackle position last year, that they would swing the bat and do that. And they did not do that. I think as I'm digesting the decision-making process, I do look at what is available in free agency. I do think there are some key players to watch. There's obviously Byron Jones, $10 million in salary cap space that's freeing up on June 1st, which gives you the ability to get back into the pool. And then there's, this defensive back group now, especially after the addition of Cam Smith, you have like 9 rosterable NFL corners. And you're not going to carry 9 rosterable NFL corners. And I'm looking at Noah Igbenogany, and not all of his salary this year is guaranteed. So there's potential to save money if you transition away there. There's potential to save on Keon Crossan, who's obviously a really valuable special teams player, but like you've got a lot of depth back there now, and you've got some additional dollar moves. And then Cedric Wilson. Can you get a trade partner for Cedric Wilson? If you moved on from Igbenogany, Keon Crossan, you cut those 2 guys, and then you find a trade partner for Cedric Wilson, you'd open up like another $12 million in cap space. So as I am sitting down, really working through, okay, they went a certain direction. They zagged when we thought they would zig. They're going to have opportunities, but then they have to actually do it. And I just kind of go back to my process coming into this offseason or the first wave of free agency was, okay, you didn't make a move. That's fine, but you have to make a move before like August 1st when you start camp. So I'm just kind of waiting to see what swing of the bat that they're going to choose to take up front, because it does need to be addressed. And I'd be highly disappointed if it wasn't. I know a lot of Dolphins fans are highly disappointed that wasn't over the weekend, but they did get some good football players who I think in time are going to be meaningful players for this team.
Well, let's talk about those football players, and then we'll get into, what the second wave of free agency kind of looks like. Let's start with the second round pick, number 51, Cam Smith, cornerback of South Carolina. Cam was rated probably top 3 corner in the draft, maybe top 5 corner in the draft. It was not a pick that we thought the Dolphins would go because, look, before going into the draft, I would have told you, and I think you would have agreed, they were debatably, arguably, the best secondary in the NFL on paper. And so to add somebody of Cam Smith's caliber or depth to a position that we already have on paper, in my opinion, really, really great. And you even just said it, there's no way we're keeping, 8 or 9 caliber starter, caliber NFL, whether they're starters, they're going to be, all of them can play a lot of playing time, and Cam obviously coming from the SEC playing at South Carolina. Look, he's a good pick as far as the player's concerned, but was he a good pick for the Dolphins? That's the question.
Well, I think the question here, I think there's 2 pathways for meaningful playing time for Cam Smith early on. The first is in the event that one of your aging corners, I'm looking specifically at Xavier Howard, who had to play through the 2 groin injuries last year for the vast majority of the season. I think he said that happened in week 3. Well, he's getting close to 30 years old. He's been a player who's missed some time in the past. He's been healthy or been available, I should say, the last 3 seasons or so for the Dolphins. And it's been nice to see him be more consistent with his health and availability. But if he starts to slow down or if he gets banged up, you have a player that you feel comfortable playing on the inside or playing on the outside. I just watched the Tennessee game last night for Cam Smith, and Tennessee runs this big spread offense that spaces and stretches the field. And you're seeing him play kind of a pseudo safety nickel hybrid type player. And then you're watching 2021 tape and he's much more prevalent on the outside. So I think the versatility there gives you somebody that you could plug in on the outside. And then the other variable here, and I know some other guys in the Dolphins space have started kicking the tires on this a little bit. How much are you going to move around Jalen Ramsey? Because if you're going to weaponize Jalen Ramsey to the fullest of his potential, then I do think having another corner that warrants meaningful playing time gives you optimal versatility on the back end. So I think about Kader Kohu and how good he was last year, and he showcased an ability to play both inside and outside. Now you have Cam Smith, who over the last 2 years at South Carolina against the best competition in college football has played inside and outside. I think X is probably a boundary corner only at this point in his career. But then Jalen Ramsey can move all over the place
too. Trill Williams will fall somewhere in there as well. We thought a lot about him after training camp last year.
Whether that's, at corner or at safety or as a hybrid to potentially be what Jalen Ramsey can be as somebody who moves all around. So I think for Vic Fangio, having as many tools and pieces as you possibly can if Vic's willing to go out there and roll 4 corners out there and have Javon Holland and kind of do like this small nickel, you hear the big nickel phrase is when you have 3 safeties on the field and 2 corners. Traditional nickel is when you have 3 corners and 2 safeties. Well, how about 4 corners and 1 safety? When one of those corners is Jalen Ramsey,
Javon can seek and destroy having 4 corners on the field. By the way, 4 high caliber corners on the field, right? So, I mean, was this a Vic Fangio pick? Do you believe that it was?
I feel like there was probably some input from Vic, and I certainly see the overlap between what Fangio corners have been asked to do and what Cam Smith has done successfully at South Carolina. So it makes sense. Yeah.
Cam Smith, the player, great talent, great pick at 51, right?
Yeah, it was appropriate value. He was somewhere for me right in the range where he was drafted when you put all the positions on the board. Now my board this year was Dolphin specific, so I didn't have quarterbacks and wide receivers and edge rushers on my board. But when you put all those guys on, this was about the range where I had him. So I think it was appropriate value for the Dolphins to draft him. And
do you like the pick as Mr. Locked On Dolphins you are? Do you like the pick?
I like the player. It would not have been the selection that I would have made because my attention would have been in the same places where a lot of other Dolphins fans' attention was, whether that was tight end. And obviously there's medicals with Darnell Washington that caused him to fall almost out of the first 2 days of the draft altogether. So if that was a disqualifier, like, okay, I get it. I don't have the medical information, so I can't speak intelligently to that. But I think John Michael Schmitz would have been an interesting pick as a guard center, possible player. And he went 6 picks afterwards to the Giants. So
I wanted him so bad. He was probably the pick that I couldn't believe that was there. That I was like, he's there for the taking. Go get him. He's the best center / guard in the draft, or arguably, debatably, Steve Avila probably there too. But it was like, his value is there at 51. Go get him. And when Cam Smith was picked, I have to admit, I scratched my head. Now, Darnell Washington, that was somebody that was there at 2, kept falling. So come round 3, I'm thinking, okay, Darnell Washington's there. He's essentially probably one of the best blocking tight ends in the draft. The Dolphins need to go after a blocking tight end because they're not necessarily looking for a playmaker. Why not that be the pick? Well, the Dolphins decided to go with, you guessed it, speed, because Mike McDaniel goes speed everywhere. And they got Devon Achane, from the running back from Texas A&M, with the 84th overall pick in the 3rd round. Kyle, what did you think of this pick?
So I think the player himself is pretty exciting. Obviously, with the sprinter's background that he has, the home run hitting ability that's there, you understand why this is a pick that appealed to Mike McDaniel. And he's a player who is capable in the passing game of being involved as a receiver. I don't think he's going to move the needle for you, or you should ever be leaving him in at this early juncture of his career in pass protection in the running back position to block from the backfield. But you can release him off into routes, and you can kind of get him into space underneath and have him as a viable check down option that can create big plays. All that was missing last year, I thought, from the backs, other than a handful of plays when Tua got off his platform and was able to throw to Raheem Mostert. So, okay, I see why there's an appeal here for the player. The blockade that I have, or the concern that I have with the player, A-Chain is one of like 20-something running backs since the turn of the century to come to the NFL Combine and be under 190 pounds. He was 188 pounds at the NFL Combine. Ran 4.32, blazing fast. Great. The number of players at the running back position at that size who have come in and been successful NFL players since the turn of the century, there's like 2.
Barry Sanders.
It's Darren Sproles. Since 1999, which is 20, almost 25 years.
Okay. Yeah,
the 2 backs to come through the combine since 1999 who have been what you would define as good players are Tariq Cohen and Darren Sproles. And both those guys were drafted in the 4th round. You don't have a 4th round pick, so you got to draft them there. Okay, great. It's just, and neither one of those guys ever carried the ball. And Cohen's already out of the league, and he was drafted in like 2017. So it's just the concern of how much of a work volume can you give him, or are you asking on his presence to be a catalyst for further spacing issues for defenses to create bigger plays with other players touching the ball. I don't have the answer. Obviously, Mike McDaniel really liked the pick. It sounded like he was really enamored with the player.
He was
I think
very
Mike's earned our
excited.
trust in that regard, but it's just betting on an outlier a little bit when you draft him that high.
Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. I got Locked On Dolphins and Locked On NFL Kyle Krabs, one of the best people to break down the draft in the entire community, and it was no-brainer to have him on this Monday. Let's keep on going because there's a lot we can talk about, and I have a limited amount of time with you this morning. Let's go with round 6. This was probably, again, a very surprising pick. I didn't expect the Dolphins to pick a wide receiver here. And Elijah Higgins, for all intents and purposes, they say they're going to move him to tight end. And, for some reason, the Miami Dolphins have this idea of converting people to tight end instead of going out and just drafting a tight end. Explain to me the Elijah Higgins pick and what your thoughts are on it, Kyle.
So I think we probably have to start asking ourselves about our definition of tight ends in this offense in general. They tried to hang on to Mike Gesicki. They tried to make that work. That didn't work, and obviously with the cost that was associated, it was a no-brainer to move on. But then you come out and you still go after these receiving type athletic builds. And what's really interesting is with the speed that the Dolphins have on the perimeter, they're going to facilitate a lot of too high safety shells, and that's going to alleviate the numbers count in the box. I think for the Dolphins and for Mike McDaniel specifically, their ideal tight end probably isn't going to look like George Kittle. And that was an assumption that a lot of us made when Mike McDaniel was hired here was San Francisco, George Kittle, inline blocker, but really good pass catcher. I think their ideal mold, their prototype is probably more of a flex tight end than what we probably anticipated. And case in point, they had a lot of success running to the formational weak side last year as far as yards per carry and productivity in the running game, as compared to running to the same side as wherever your tight end is that has his hand in the dirt. So for Higgins as a wide receiver, there's 2 areas that I think he kicks butt in. I think he's a really good perimeter blocker. So you think about screen games, RPOs, being the point man on those, being able to handle somebody who's pressed up on the line of scrimmage and create room. I think that's an area where he could probably contribute fairly quickly for the Dolphins because their perimeter blocking.
Which we were looking for from Gesicki for years, or all the time last year. I say years, but all the time last year, and probably why he didn't get as many snaps. So Elijah Higgins, according to this little viewpoint, I know you said you had 2, and you'll get to the second one here in a minute, but he could see a lot of he could see a lot of snaps just from a blocking standpoint, especially in this type of offense.
Yeah. So this is a supersized Trent Sherfield, right? And the question is that supposed to be what you were going to get from Eric Ezukama? Maybe. I think Ezukama was a little bit more of a vertical receiver as compared to a banger in the box at Texas Tech. So, okay, Ezukama is now competing with Chosen Anderson for a specific role in the wide receiver room. I think this player, Elijah Higgins, as a hybrid type player, blocking in space against corners and safeties and then cracking down on linebackers was, I thought, where he was really good. And then he wins in the same area of the field that Mike Gesicki does, which is getting vertical up the seam, getting behind the linebackers pretty quickly, high pointing the football. Stanford threw some fades to him in the red zone. So I think there's some parallels with where Mike was the most impactful player. He's obviously not as tall, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing because I think at times Mike's height and how high-hipped he was kind of betrayed him when trying to play in space and be a fluid athlete in space. And he's more physical. He's more dense as a player. So I'm not saying he's better than Mike Gesicki, certainly not at this stage in his career. He's going to have to continue to develop as a route runner and get used to NFL competition, but I could see a niche role for Elijah Higgins on this roster pretty quickly.
I think Elijah Higgins is somebody that's very interesting as a 6th-round pick because the type of player that he is and the type of player that the Miami Dolphins are looking for, they're looking for him to maybe make an impact as soon as he gets into training camp. And the reality of the situation is how many 6th-rounders develop that quickly into an impactful player. and you're asking him to also change positions off to what he's comfortable in. And for some reason, the Dolphins have this in their mind. There's a lot we can go into and discuss, but let's go into the last pick, which is in the 7th round.
Mm-hmm.
The Dolphins finally went out and got an offensive tackle. They addressed it, ladies and gentlemen, in the 7th round and picked 238 with the Michigan Ryan Hayes. Man, tell us, Kyle, what are your thoughts of this pick? I mean, we all wanted them to go tackle or offensive line in some way, shape, or form. They did. They did it in the 7th round.
Yeah. So I thought Ryan was a really consistent performer for Michigan, and that offensive line was declared the best in college football in each of the last 2 seasons, and he was a full-time starter at left tackle. He's a little lean. I think he's probably going to have to add some mass, add some anchor. He's like a former tight end throughout the course of his football playing career who has just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I think he's going to need to add a little bit of additional weight. He's not the longest player either from an arm length and a reach perspective. I thought he got outreached on a number of occasions. You watch him against Ohio State where they have a future first-round pick next year, number 44. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, and I also couldn't pronounce it even if I could remember, but I know his first name's JT. And then they had Zach Harrison, who was a day 2 pick and has like 35-inch arms on the edge for Ohio State, who's a former 5-star recruit. And you saw him conceding his chest a little bit versus those guys because he's got 32-inch arms. So he moves really well. I think he's very fluid. I think he gets good movement in the run game when his feet are able to stay engaged and keep moving. But I think he's a better run blocker than a pass protector right now. I'm wondering, he kind of profiles comparably to Liam Eichenberg as far as a build perspective.
That's what scares me a little bit.
So I don't know that he's a tackle. I feel like he might be a utility swing. Look, if he ends up being Jesse Davis for you, it's a great addition, right? And I know everybody cringes at the name of Jesse Davis, but everybody cringes at the name of Jesse Davis because the guy was never a starter, and we insisted on making him a starter for 3 years when he had no business being a starter. But if he's a utility player that you could plug in at 4 spots along the offensive line and is your 6th or 7th offensive lineman in time, great. I don't think he makes the roster this year, but he's probably somebody who sits on the practice squad this year. You hope he adds some muscle mass to his frame, can kind of bulk up and then take advantage of that positional flexibility, and he retains some of his functional athleticism.
All right, let's get into overall, what did you give the draft? What grade did you give the Miami Dolphins draft-wise?
And when you consider what they had, what they didn't have, first-round pick, when you consider the veterans that they brought in, this is probably a B minus effort. They got good. I think they got appropriate value with every pick that they had. You just wish that they had more picks, and it's not the creative direction that I personally would have gone. So I can't sit here and say, yeah, I'm over the moon with it, but I also wasn't in the room for the conversation, and I'm externally applying what my evaluation is of what the team needs versus what they know the direction that they want to go as a football team is schematically. So in trying to fill in the blanks, I don't want to be too hard on it, but I'm also not doing backflips down my driveway here over the moon about the draft class either.
I would, if you're asking me, I would go C. I would go C+ is the best I can go, and here's a couple of reasons why, Kyle. Number one, we lost the first-round draft pick because of Stephen Ross's tampering charges. That automatically gets you almost a letter grade down. Number two, you traded away assets last year for Bradley Chubb that you could have had an additional 2nd-round pick this year. And I'm not saying that Bradley Chubb is a bad pick or is going to be a bad acquisition. I don't know. Was there value there? Maybe we would have gotten the tight end we maybe wanted in the 2nd round. Maybe Darnell Washington could have been that pick that we had with that second round pick. So, you know, and then the necessity, the needs that we needed, and not addressing it with high value players or the best available player at those positions when you were picking. And so there's a lot of things I scratch my head on. Do I like Cam Smith? Do I like Devon Achney? Yes. I think that they're going to be role players in this offense. I think Devon's going to score a few touchdowns, maybe even more for us in this offense, right? There's a good shot that he can be a very impactful role player. And Cam Smith, he is somebody that, man, when Jalen and X decide that they're done, or the Dolphins decide that they're done with them, Cam Smith hopefully can plug right in and fill in that hole, and you don't have to worry about it. And that's what good teams do. They provide depth at solid positions that you need to, so that when somebody's time to move on, they already have the next person waiting to replace them. But another thing that the Dolphins have a decent track record at, Kyle, is undrafted free agents. And the Miami Dolphins went out and they got a whole bunch of undrafted free agents. A couple of people that stick out to me on this undrafted free agent list, Kyle, excuse me, are Aubrey Miller, the linebacker out of Jackson State. I like him a lot. And then obviously Michael Turk, the name, the punter out of Oklahoma. Obviously us going to get Bailey. Bringing in Turk, is it a camp body, or was this, hey, Michael's uncle Matt was a punter for us for 4 years, and this is a legacy pick, just as a hey, look, we like what you did for our franchise years ago. Let's bring in Michael, give him a shot on an NFL field, maybe even a preseason game or two to see what he has. But ultimately, he probably won't compete with Bailey. And then another couple of positions that really stick out to me are Jarrett Hurst, Michigan State's offensive lineman, and then Zeke Vandenberg, the linebacker from Illinois State, who had a really good college career and fits the mold of what a linebacker could be in a Vic Fangio system. Explain to me maybe some of these names are people for you that stick out.
Yeah, I think you got most of the ones that really popped to me. Aubrey Miller, saw him down at the Senior Bowl, very, very physical player. I think the Dolphins right now only have 4 off-ball linebackers under contract. Andrew Van Ginkel can do some of that, but just your traditional stack off-ball linebackers is David Long, Jerome Baker, Channing Tindall, the third-round pick from last year, and Duke Riley, who they brought back. So I think there's probably an open roster spot on the 53 for somebody who plays stack off-ball linebacker, unless they're really going to go heavy into DBs and safeties and keep a bunch of safeties as well, which they may with how important they are in this Fangio defense. But I think there's an opportunity there. Jared Horst is another one for me. I know you mentioned he was I believe the first overall pick in the USFL draft a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
So there's some buzz there about the physicality that he brings to the table. And then the other name that kind of pops to me is the defensive tackle from USC, Brandon Peely. There's a very big need for a backup for Raekwon Davis on this defensive front. And I think when you look who the Dolphins do and don't have under roster, behind him as A-gap defenders, it's not a lot of players that you would generally perceive to be NFL caliber players. Jalen Twyman, Josiah Bronson, like those guys don't move the needle for me at all. So Brandon Peely is a traditional nose tackle build. That might be a spot where they want to have a low income player just because it's a backup nose tackle. So he's probably not going to get a ton of run. I know John Jenkins has been in that spot for the last couple of years and has since moved on. So that feels like an open spot. And I think Peely has a pretty good chance to make a push unless they go out and they sign somebody who's in free agency, be it Poona Ford or somebody else after June 1st.
Look, I think when it's all said and done, we didn't think Kader Kahu would make a difference on this roster at the beginning of training camp. So you never know. And the Dolphins do have a track record of having undrafted free agents make significant impacts on this roster.
Even like Robert Jones and Nick Needham the last 3 years as well. Like they've it feels like they hit 1 year that ends up being a really good NFL player.
Yep. So if you're asking me, I think 2 players maybe make this roster and one of them becomes significant. Who that'll be, I guess that'll be determined, right? We'll have to wait and see. I want to be respectful of your time. I know you got to go this morning. I'd love to have you on in more detail to talk about the future of the front office and the decisions that they made. We didn't get a chance to dive into that this morning, but I think that is a conversation that needs to be played out, especially with somebody of your knowledge, because I think a lot of fans are scratching their head this morning and they don't know what way to think other than frustration. So the last thing I'll ask you before you get out of here, what is your advice to the fans right now?
The roster's not done until the second week in September. There's a lot of ball game left. And now you've entered into a chapter where everybody's reset the deck. You know, Miami's premium assets were pretty limited. They didn't have a first-round pick. Any player that becomes available via trade, offensive line, if the team wants to get in the market there, They have the same competitive offers that everybody else across the league is capable of making. They're going to have significant salary cap space that opens back up. They could extend Christian Wilkins. They can move on from Cedric Wilson. We mentioned Keon Crossan and Noah Igbenogany. You get $10 million in cap space when Byron Jones is formally released on June 1st. There's a lot of things that can still happen. And there's still a number of starting caliber players in the trenches. Look at Cam Fleming, who they brought in, who played for the Dolphins offensive line coach, Butch Berry, played for him last year in Denver.
Yep.
Is out there. Poona Ford at defensive tackle is out there. There's players. Some of these
Lewan.
players probably
Tyler
have
Lewan.
an eye on what they want to do and where they want to go. But financially speaking, it's not feasible for the Dolphins to sign these guys right now. So we're playing the waiting game for the next 30 days. And that's when the next wave of free agency starts for all teams across the league. They're not done yet. So if you're a little uneasy, let's see what happens in June before we freak out.
I agree. What do you got coming up, Kyle? What do you got coming up as far as coverage or content with Locked On NFL and Locked On Dolphins or anything else that you're affiliated with?
Yeah, so Locked On Dolphins this week is going to be working through the undrafted free agent class and doing film studies on them. We did all the draft picks, but now we have a bunch of names that were FCS players and small school players and generally perceived to not be draftable players that we have to familiarize ourselves with. And looking at the state of this 53-man roster forecast after all the influx of talent that the Dolphins had. I mean, it's like 24 players, 24 players have been added to the mix over the last 72 hours or so. So just kind of really diving into the fallout there. And then over at Locked On NFL Scouting, it's a look at the draft classes across the league from a big picture perspective and who did well and who we need to see more from with those guys getting on the field before we can say confidently what we think of their classes or not.
Kyle, thank you so much for coming on the show today and taking time to come on with me. I love having you on. Definitely want you on more often, and we'll definitely get you on here again in the future. Thanks again for coming on, Kyle.
Absolutely, Steven. Have a good one, all right?
You too, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. That was Kyle Krabs. Was very important. I had that set in stone like 3 weeks ago. I was like, hey, man, Monday after the draft, need you on. Need to go over these picks. And so shout out to Kyle for coming on, man. All right, look, hit the like button if you haven't done so already. If you are subscribed to the channel or not subscribed to the channel, subscribe, okay? It's very easy. Just subscribe to the channel. It's free. Make sure you hit that bell notification. That way you get notified anytime we go live. All right, man, a lot to get into. I know a lot of us want to stay with the Dolphins stuff. We are going to talk some Miami Heat and Florida Panthers, and I'm hoping to get from Locked On Panthers this morning, Armando. If he doesn't come on today, we'll definitely get him on later on this week, and I'm hoping to get a Wes Goldberg on from NBA or from Locked On Heat as well. So that should be good. So a lot of stuff to talk about and a lot of stuff to get into. Let's stay with the draft. Let's stay with the Miami Dolphins for now. So I did the live draft coverage. I want to say thank you to everybody who was here Friday night, who came on. We had over 20 YouTubers, 20, content creators, 20 plus come on. If you missed it, it was a good time. You missed a beautiful show. It was great. We got to learn a lot about a lot of different content creators and what they got going on and how they got their start. And we got to watch the draft and rounds 2 and 3. And I would say overall for me, the Miami Dolphins, I have to admit when the picks were happening, I was scratching my head. I was questioning it. And I still am a little bit to this day. I have to admit that. But there are pros with all of the picks. You can find good in all of the picks and say, okay, I see why the Dolphins did this. I'm not saying I like the pick. I'm not saying it would have been the pick that I would have made at that particular moment. But I would say overall, I was trying to find the positive in all the picks, right? And if you go look, to start out with Cam is going to be a solid player in this draft. He is. He's going to be a solid player. And to get him at 51 essentially was probably a steal because he's a first-round talent. There's no doubt about that. But you got him at 51. He provides depth and is a potential starter one day in the NFL. Is he going to start right away? No, he doesn't need to, especially with the caliber of players we have in our secondary anyway, right? So, but at the end of the day, he's going to make a difference and he's going to provide depth. And the issues that we had going into the secondary last year, we better not have those this year because there is way too much talent in the secondary for us to have the same problems that we had last year. Devon, Akane or Acme, whatever his last name is, we'll get it right eventually. His speed. And we know that McDaniel's offense is predicated on speed. It is. It is. You, at the end of the day, are predicated on speed. That's what McDaniel wants. Filippo, thank you for the comment. Steve, you rock for hustling and lining up awesome interviews and collaborations. Respect. Thank you, Philip. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. I mean, look, he is somebody, that Devon is somebody at the end of the day. I mean, I already see him. The over-under for him is going to be 5 or 6 on touchdowns this year. And it's going to be good. He's McDaniel was very excited about him. That much I know. And again, we're talking about a head coach and an offensive coordinator who gave us a top 10 offense last year. First time since the 90s, early 90s. So you can't be totally upset when you see your head coach getting value in the third round at a player that he believes can contribute to this team day one. Day one. So, again, is it the pick that I would have gotten? No. We all thought that if Darnell Washington was available when we picked second, we'd be running up to the table. We all thought that if Schmitz, the center from Minnesota / guard from Minnesota, was there, we'd be running up to the table. They didn't do that. Greer and McDaniel and Fangio, they have a different viewpoint of how they're addressing this team. I think we all are in our heads saying, well, why didn't they address this or why didn't they address that? I don't have the answers. I can tell you that the front office is having a totally different conversation than any YouTuber, than any content creator, than any of us are having. Some of the content creators, including myself, might say, hey, look, here's the thing. It is a good draft from a standpoint of the value of players that you got. But it's not what the Dolphins truly needed. They needed a high-value tight end. The Dolphins, and by the way, the things you look at Higgins, right? He's going to convert the tight end. The Dolphins have a bad track record of converting people to tight end. It doesn't work out for them. So as fans, we have a right to question it and say, why do we think this is going to work out? It hasn't before. You're asking us to say, and that's the other thing, you're asking us to believe a 6th-round draft pick is going to start, or maybe not start, but make a significant impact on this team and the roster. That's tough. That's tough to sell to the fan base. Now, I don't think McDaniel or Greer care about selling it to the fan base, good, bad, or indifferent. They're worried about winning football games. And if they think that Higgins is somebody that they can convert and make a quality tight end in the NFL, so be it. And I liked what Kyle said. Kyle said Elijah Higgins is the guy that is going to be able to run block for you, pass block for you. He's a great blocker, down the field blocker. He is somebody that you need that can block. And for the positive areas of Gesicki, with the limited ones that they were, because they just didn't utilize Gesicki the way we thought they could have, was that red zone threat, that short, hey, I need somebody to go up and catch a ball. Elijah Higgins seems to be that guy. So, right? So I get why it's easy to say, hey, you know what? It's not a horrible pick because the tangibles or the positives or the pros that he has, you can say fits very well to the tight end that we would want. The issue is he's not a natural tight end. And we're asking the fan base again to believe in a 6th-round draft pick that can make a difference. And so right now our tight ends are Eric Saubert, from Denver. You can't, his numbers at the end of the day don't scream, oh my God, he's going to make a difference. Now, I'm not looking at his numbers. I'm looking at snap count. And Elijah Higgins, the one thing that, like, his snap count was great in college football, but he didn't play tight end. And ultimately, that's what I wanted. I wanted a natural tight end who played a lot of snaps in college football. So from my rules of what we wanted, and who the hell am I think we failed at the tight end pick. Even if Elijah Higgins works out right now today, I don't know how it does. Or I pray that it does. Whatever you want to say. Right? And then Ryan Hayes. We got a tackle. We got an offensive lineman. We got a guy who played a lot of snaps and started a lot of games in college football and played on one of the most prominent offensive lines in football. Wow, sounds a lot like Liam Eichenberg. And we're seeing how well he's working out. So let me tell you, if this doesn't work out with Ryan, which it's a 7th round pick, so be it. Liam Eichenberg was a 2nd round pick. Big difference between a 7th round pick in Ryan Hayes and a 2nd round pick in Liam Eichenberg. But the quality of player is the same. So I'll tell you this, if Ryan doesn't make an impact on this team, which I don't believe that he will right away anyway, I think I can say, I can definitely question our GM and say, what are y'all looking at when it comes to offensive linemen as far as young players? Because the mold is the same. Ryan Hayes and Liam Eichenberg, you put them in the mirror, I mean, they're very similar on many different levels. The difference is Ryan was drafted in the 7th round and Liam was drafted in the 2nd. And we all expected as a 2nd round pick and Liam Eichenberg to make a quality difference on this offensive line, and he has not. He has not. So yes, again, you're asking the fans to believe that a 7th round pick who had all the same qualities that Liam Eichenberg had, that had all the awesome statistics in college football that Liam Eichenberg had, and the fan base that questions Liam Eichenberg to a T, we're going to question Ryan Hayes at the moment, unless he turns out to be this great thing. And again, it would be at the end of the day, it would be a statistical anomaly for the Dolphins if this offensive lineman worked out and the other ones didn't. And it's easy Pete's take to say you see Jake Long vibes because at the end of the day, he's from Michigan. And he was saying that, and Kyle Krabs was saying he gave him Jesse Davis vibes. And he's right. It should make he's right. The fans will cringe when they hear that. But he's also right in saying that the fans wanted Jesse Davis to be a starter, and that's never what he was. And if you took Jesse for what he was, which was a 6th offensive lineman, somebody that can rotate and fill in on a play or two here and there, he would have been he would have passed in flying colors of what he needed to be. But he was never, ever going to be a starting offensive lineman or a quality one in the NFL. And maybe Ryan's the same way. But again, we need a tackle. We need a guard. And the Dolphins did not address that. They didn't. Now, I will say the one move that makes me excited is the Jarrett Horst. Jarrett Horst is the offensive lineman in the is the offensive lineman for Michigan State, the undrafted free agent, and he was drafted #1 overall in the USFL draft for his position. That's exciting. Why? Because that means other scouts and other people see value in him. Granted, it's USFL. Okay, I get it. But you're still looking. We're trying to get quality positives of saying, well, it's not just us who sees quality in him. There are other people. There are other people that believe in quality of him. Alex says, Stephen D., I believe Eichenberg and Jackson will still work out. We hope that they will still work out. Yes, the book is not finished. We don't know exactly what the ultimate end game is with those gentlemen. But I can tell you right now, we're still in search of a right tackle and a guard. You know, I don't know. I don't know. I think at the end of the day, the Dolphins obviously have a lot to look forward to. And, you know, we know that one or two of these players on the undrafted free agent will hit. One or two. Because each of the last 3 years, the Dolphins have hit on an undrafted free agent in some way, shape, or form. So I think that that will be fine there. But I do question some of the picks. Cam Smith will make a significant impact on the team. Devon will make a significant impact on the offense. Elijah Higgins, huge question mark. Ryan Hayes, probably not going to make the roster unless he just blows you away in training camp. And again, that would be a statistical anomaly that a 7th-round tackle who started for 4 years at Michigan on one of the best offensive lines did that. It would be. It would be. So, look, the best I can give the Dolphins is a C+ right now on the draft. And to be determined. Because I want to know if 2 guys make the roster, are they significant impact players? Which I would expect Cam Smith and Devon. If Cam Smith and Devon turn out to be, let's say Cam Smith get a few interceptions and maybe a pick 6, that helps his draft stock go up. Hey, it was a great pick at 51. If Devon gets more than 5 or 6 touchdowns this year, come on, his draft stock goes up. And now all of a sudden it's a great hit. The Dolphins did great on picks 2 and 3. But again, it wasn't the value that we were looking for at the positions we were looking to get. Alex, I have no idea how you can give them an A. You can't. You can't give them an A. They did not go after positions of need. They went over positions of depth. You can say running back is maybe a position of need, maybe. But you did have 4 running backs on the roster. And you had Dalvin Cook, apparently, who will be available. So why go get Devon when Dalvin Cook's available? I know why you got him. Because he fits the mold to a T of what McDaniel looks for, which is speed. And speed, in his opinion, kills. I'm not going to question that. I'm not going to question that. I'm not going to question McDaniel and his speed until it does not work out, which there's no reason for me to think that it won't. So we'll have to see. Look, I ultimately want to see the Dolphins make a lot more moves in the free agency market in the second round of free agency. But Kyle's also correct that we're not going to see anything for 30 days. The Dolphins are stuck in a standstill for the next 30 days until that post-June 1st hits. Now, here's something I think you could see over the next 30 days. Number 1, Christian Wilkins getting a new deal. I believe that. I believe Christian Wilkins could get a new deal, and I think that will help. And there might be 1 or 2 other players that could get restructured as well. Another thing that you could see over the next 30 days, you could see somebody like Cedric Wilson getting traded. You could see somebody like Noah Igbenogany in a package. Noah is a former first-round pick, did make a game-winning interception last year, and if they were able to trade a tight end with one offensive reception his entire career and trade him along with a 3rd-round pick to go get somebody of Jalen Ramsey, there's no reason for me to think that they can't trade Noah Igbenogany, who's a former first-round pick, who was somebody who made a game-winning interception last year and definitely holds value to somebody somewhere. I just know it's not the Dolphins. We'll have to see where it goes. And here's the other thing, you guys, Rick, I don't want Noah, that's for sure. Here's the other thing. Everybody says a Kane, was the third running back on most people's draft boards. That's fair. I get it. I understand it. But again, it would not have been the pick. Let me ask you, did anybody's mock draft, have a Kane in the third round that the Dolphins were going to pick? Nobody did. If there was, there may have been one. But I don't predict it was any more than one. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. C+ for me on the Dolphins grade. And that's all I can give them right now. But I think there's a lot of things to be excited about with all of these picks. That includes the Ryan Hayes pick. But it's the same thing that I was excited about when Liam Eichenberg was here, or when we got Liam Eichenberg. So C+ to me is where the Dolphins are at on the straight, because the picks are not bad in themselves as far as the players. They're just not where I would have went, and it's not what the Dolphins needed. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. A lot happened over the weekend. Let's just kind of talk to you on that. I'm going to get back to the Dolphins talk, so just stand by. Last night, crazy game for the Florida Panthers facing the Boston Bruins in Game 7 of the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And, if I'm honest with you, there was so many things last night that, could have happened and should have happened to the President Cup Boston Bruins. And this is now 11 years in a row that the team that won the President's Cup, team in the NHL that scores the most points, did not advance or win the Stanley Cup. 11 years. That Panthers-Bruins game last night was amazing. Panthers go up 2-0. You thought it was great. And just like most people will tell you, a 2-0 lead in the NHL is one of the toughest things in the world, because a lot of 2-0 leads have been blown up this year. And that's what happened in the game. Boston eventually comes back. They end up going up 3-2. They get down to the last minute of the game. They pull the goalie, and they end up scoring with 59 seconds left. And it was great, and it was amazing. They go into overtime, and they win in overtime. And so they get to advance to face the Toronto Maple Leafs. And let me tell you, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And for some reason, I don't know what it is, but these South Florida teams that are the last teams to get into the playoffs, who have faced the #1 seeds, a.k.a. the Miami Heat, a.k.a. the Florida Panthers, facing the Boston Bruins and the respective Boston Bruins and Milwaukee Bucks, who are the #1 seeds in their sport. Milwaukee Bucks, #1 seed overall in the playoffs. Boston Bruins, #1 seed overall in the NHL playoffs. I'm telling you right now, there's something special going on in South Florida, and it's fun to watch. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited. And I hope you are too. And even if you're not a huge hockey fan, you need to watch, because something special is going on. So now the Florida Panthers advance. Tuesday night, I believe, is Game 1 of the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and they will be facing the Toronto Maple Leafs. We'll have to see how that goes. And then, obviously, the Miami Heat playing yesterday, Game 1 of their second round matchup with the New York Knicks. It was funny. They showed the montage during the game of, the old school John Starks and Alonzo Mourning days and Patrick Ewing. And man, that Heat Knicks series, I want to be a brawl like that was back in the day. But overall, I think the Heat are just going to take care of business against the Knicks. And if you're a Knicks fan out there, a.k.a. Alex, so I'm sorry about your life. Bing bong. You're going to lose. That's what I know. So shout out to them, man. I think it's I think it's going to be the Heat are going to advance. They're going to go to the Eastern Conference Finals for the second year in a row. And yeah, it's going to be fun. Jimmy Butler is playing out of his mind once again. Jimmy Butler is probably the best player in this playoffs, and I don't think it's even close. There's nobody else in the playoffs that I can see that is playing as good as Jimmy Butler. He's unreal right now. Or as some people in the chat would like to say, Himmy Butler. Himothy Butler. Himothy McBuckets Butler the third. Whatever you want to say. Rick Spar says Steph Curry I love. Curry had a great game yesterday. Game 7, just real quick, touch on it. Sacramento, couldn't believe Sacramento got it back. But Steph Curry dropping a 50 burger, 50 points on them boys. Second best playoff game ever for a player. Steph Curry's playing out of his mind too. You're right. But Curry is also shooting the most ugly 3-point shots in the world, and they're going in. And that's what's making him, great. He can hit it from almost anywhere and he can go to the rim too. But Jimmy's playing offense and defensive side of the ball, and he's straight up carrying his team. Golden State, they got a couple of other players that if Curry's not hitting his shots, they can get that production from somewhere else. If Jimmy stops for the Heat, there's no chance the Heat have. And that's real. Jimmy Butler is playing the best. The best. Point blank. And I said second overall. No, it wasn't, but it was the second best of this playoffs to Jimmy Butler. So shout out to the Heat. Game 2 coming up in Madison Square Garden again. By the way, yesterday, both Miami teams played at a Garden. Miami Heat played at Madison Square Garden. Florida Panthers played at the Boston Garden. And both Miami teams walked out with a W, cuz we don't care about New York or Boston teams. That's why the Jets and the Patriots suck. Because Miami teams are awesome. Miami Dolphins, please take note from your brother teams in South Florida, because it's fun to watch. It is fun to watch. By the way, real quick, also really, really cool this weekend, Miami Marlins doing their thing. That's right. I believe did the Marlins take out a broom this weekend? I think they did. I didn't even put them in the graphic. They sure did. They took out the brooms on them boys. Win. 4-3, 7-6, 3-2. Won all their games by 1 run this weekend. Shout out to the Marlins beating the Chicago Cubs in Miami this weekend. I know Noob's not happy about that. I'm sorry, Noob. But let's go Marlins. Cameron 954 was at the game yesterday. It'll be good. All right, Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. All right, let's get into it. This is a show that is made for the fans, by the fans. I know a lot of you have a lot to say about the Dolphins and what your thoughts are on this draft. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to open up the lines for y'all to come on one at a time. And I'm going to open it up, and I want to hear your takes on what you think about the Miami Dolphins draft. Are you upset? Are you excited? Do you think it was a good draft? Do you think it was a bad draft? I want to get the pulse of the fans. That's what I want to do. I want to know exactly what you all are thinking and what you all feel, because at the end of the day, it's a show for the fans. And I want to get what your thoughts on the Miami Dolphins draft. What are your thoughts? I'm dropping the link now in the chat. It'll be pinned to the top of the chat here momentarily. I'm going to wait till a couple of you get all in, And we're going to bring you on one at a time. And hopefully, hey, if you haven't done so already, over 100 people in the room, hit the like button. Hit the like button. Cap for Life, we're going to open up the panel on Wednesday for Wildin' Out Wednesday. Today, I want to have some back and forth with some people, and I really want them to be able to get their thoughts and process their emotions, because I think some fans are pissed, because that's what I saw all day on social media this weekend. So, we'll have to see what happens. The link is pinned to the top of the chat. Come on. By the way, it is, what is this? Is this May the 1st? So y'all can give a big shout out to Level 2 Noob. No Buffalo Bills fans for the month of May. No Buffalo Bills fans on the show for the month of May. So shout out to Noob for that one. All right. Yeah, get up here. I want to hear from you. Link is pinned to the top of the page. Want to get some people up here. What are your thoughts on the Miami Dolphins draft? Raphael Cornight says, my grade kind of close to you, Steven. C-. I told Cap for Life a while back, Miami Sports Music. Cap for Life says, nobody should be pissed. Remember, if we got to accept Tua, you also got to accept that Fangio is running the team. I don't know if I agree with that totally. Wayne D. Experience says, that's right. No Buffalo fans, baby. Well, hey, look, Buffalo fans usually got up here and talk. Where are the Dolphins fans at? Come on, it's a Dolphins show. Get up here, click the link. Let's talk. Let's see here. Noob says, just doing the Lord's work. You're too much, man. I'm going through, and if you want to put your thing in the chat of what your grade is, I'll definitely try to read it if I can, until we get some people up here. Can we have no Knicks fans until after we finish embarrassing them? Teapot? No, Alex is a Dolphins fan. We got to allow him to come up if he wants to come up. Bart DePalma says, for undrafted free agents, look at who they gave guaranteed money to. Olave, Peely, and Pola. Interesting nonetheless. Yeah, look, they did guaranteed money, but that doesn't mean that they're going to. You always give a little bit of guaranteed money just to be able to bring somebody in that you might like over another team. Remember, they have their plethora of teams that they can choose from to go to training camp. So you might give a players a little bit of money to make sure that they come. NorCal Dolphin says, I give the draft a D+. I mean, we lost our first. Happy our draft stock got us Chubb and Ramsey, though. Dolphin, the Godfather has spoken. He's not a huge fan of that draft. D+. D+. All right, let me bring on the first caller. Lakers all day. What's up, cuz?
What's up, Steve? How you doing, man?
Pretty good, baby. Pretty good, man.
Pretty good, man. Yeah,
What'd
man.
you think?
What about what?
The draft. Give me your thoughts on the draft.
I'm gonna give it a D because you know what I'm saying. Like we didn't get a tight end, you know what I'm saying, and we let go. Actually, we traded away Gasecki, and you know what I'm saying. We should, you know what I'm saying. Like for me, you know, like you know what I'm saying. If we didn't, you know what I'm saying. If we never traded away Gasecki, right? Then you know what I'm saying, that'll be fine, right? But now we traded him away, and now Loki, like you know what I'm saying, we didn't get no tight end.
We got Higgins, right? We got Higgins in the 6th round, who the Dolphins are going to convert to tight end. And if I'm correct, they already have him listed on their depth chart as a tight end.
Yeah, but like, why are you going to convert a wide receiver to a tight end? You know
I'm with you, man.
That doesn't make no sense. Just go get a tight end.
The Dolphins have this, what's the word I want to use? They have this idea that they can convert players to tight ends, and it has not worked out for them historically. It just hasn't. And I don't understand the reasoning with not going to get a natural tight end. Before the draft, this was my thought, Lakers all day. I said, look, the Dolphins need to go out and say, okay, hey, look, here's a natural tight end. He's played 90% of the snaps and when he's played, and he started for more than 2 years at tight end. That's what I wanted. That's all I asked for. I didn't ask for touchdowns. I didn't ask for yards. I asked for 85 to 90% of the snaps, played a minimum of started a minimum of 2 years at tight end, right? And was healthy, right? And was a natural tight end. They didn't do it.
Yeah, see, I don't know who's in that draft room picking these players, but that's bad.
It's
You know what I'm
Greer,
saying?
right? It's
That's
Greer. And here's the thing. Higgins could the idea of Higgins, okay, the idea of Higgins, he could be a very valuable pick when it's all said and done. But it has to work out in something that they haven't historically gotten to work out.
But Steve,
I like the idea of Higgins. If Higgins comes in, plays, and I'm not even asking him to start at this point. I'm just asking him when he comes in, he plays at the tight end, he blocks really well. If he's a great blocker when he's in, perfect pick. Perfect pick. But you're still asking me to believe in a 6th-round pick to get a decent amount of playing time, make the squad, get a decent amount of playing time, and play at the tight end.
And he's a wide receiver. He's not even a you know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say this. I know people might be mad, but I'm gonna say the best draft that we had was when we had Brian Flores. I'm gonna tell you right now. And this draft is not great. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a D, a F D, around there.
And your D is being, you think you're giving, that's being nice.
Yeah, I'm being nice because come on, and then after that we go get like a 5'8" running back. Like, what you gonna do? You gonna put him at punt return?
Well, so here's my thought about Devon, right? So everybody says, well, he's going to be a great at punt return. Well, I was like, isn't that why you brought in Braxton Berrios?
Yeah,
you brought in Braxton Berrios to be the return man, and now we got Devon. Now, to be fair, now we have 2 real return specialists in Berrios and Devon, right? That's fair. That's fine. And I also think Devon is super. Like, somebody made the quote on Twitter that the Dolphins legit could have an Olympic track and field team with the speed that they have here. And that's legit. Right? So it was a top 10 team in offense last year. It was predicated on speed and timing. And Devon fits that mold. He does. He fits that mold. And so if Devon does make the squad, Devon does fit that mold, I hope that, look, he could easily get 5 or 6 touchdowns plus this year. His over-unders, I'm probably going to say 5 touchdowns this year. Because I believe he'll make the team, and I believe he'll have plenty of opportunities. I think and that includes special teams, right? His total touchdowns.
Hey, Steven, what's yours? Okay, me, the only person I like in this draft that we got was Cam Smith. I like him. He's a dog. People didn't like that we drafted a cornerback, but I understand it. It's because we drafted a cornerback because Howard is getting old. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to be here for long. And Cam Smith,
let me say this. I think that Dolphins fans, and this was my viewpoint. Guys, if you want to get in, the link is pinned to the top of the page. Love to get more people, your thoughts on what you thought about this draft and the draft picks. Get on. Nobody else in the back room right now. Get up here. Let me get your thoughts on what you thought about the draft. Here's my thing, Lakers all day, about the Cam Smith pick. The Cam Smith pick is very interesting because it provides the opportunity to replace Ramsey and X when they're finally done playing, right? And that's a good thing, and we had so many injuries last year in the secondary. We don't have that now. We should not have to worry about that now because of all the potential high quality players that we have in the secondary. And like Kyle Krabs said earlier this morning, is Fangio going to do something that he even said it? He even said, hey, you're going to see me something do in his press conference, his introductory press conference. He said, you're going to see me do some innovative stuff on the defense this year. And I'm going to be, it ain't going to be the same scheme you've always seen from me. And so is he going to run a 4 cornerback set with a seek and destroy, with one seek and destroy safety of Javon Holland? Possible.
Yeah, I mean that's good. I mean, if we do that, then you know what I'm saying, that's good to have another cornerback, and it's like that's probably why you know what I'm saying they drafted Cam Smith because like I'm saying he can then he's an outside corner. You know what I'm saying? He can go nickel. He can play man to man. He can play coverage. He can come up and tackle you.
Cam
You know
is
what
a
I'm saying?
really
He's
good
not scared to
ball
come up and
player,
tackle.
and he will make a significant
Yeah, he's
impact on
powerful.
this team week 1. Will he start? Probably not, but I think he'll make a significant
No.
impact on the team week
But
1.
like saying in practice, he gonna be that dog that's gonna be out there, catching balls and laying people out. That's what I know.
All right, Lakers all day. Anything else before I let you go, bud?
Yeah, man. Let's go Lakers. You know what I'm saying? Yo, Miami Heat, you
LeBron,
guys got the
baby.
dub.
LeBron. I want to see LeBron versus the Heat in the finals. That's where I'm at this point.
I
LeBron
said that
versus
last
Heat.
night. But I mean, it's gonna be a good game with y'all Miami
I
Heat
can't
and the
lose
Knicks.
in that finals. I win
Nah,
both ways if that happens.
yeah, you're right. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, I think the Knicks might have y'all number, man.
Get off
Wait, hold
my
up.
show with that
Wait,
hater comment.
let
Are
me
you
tell you
kidding
why.
me?
Let me tell you why. Okay, look. Let's say that the Miami Heat played the Cavaliers, right? Do y'all
Mhm.
think y'all would have beat the Cavaliers?
Yes. I don't even need to elaborate. Yes.
You think so? Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not
I
scared
don't
of
know.
the
I
Heat.
don't think.
I'm not
so.
scared
I
of the
don't think.
Knicks. I'm not scared of the Knicks.
I just think they
Let
have
me
y'all
say it
number.
again
It's
for
just
the
that.
people in the back. I'm not scared of the New York Knicks.
I mean, it's gonna be a good series for y'all, Miami Heat.
Dade County Wop said he on you know what? He coming after you. Click
All right,
clack
we'll see.
with that
We'll
whack
see.
comment.
Hey, yo, that's not where I come. Hey, I'm gonna see because
That
I'm
is
gonna
the
be watching.
wackest comment you've ever said on my show.
Why?
Yeah.
I'm just being
Get
honest.
get off. I got other people in the back, Lakers all day. I love you, man. Be good.
All right, yeah.
Be good. Can't with Lakers all day. Dade County, come get your boy. Come get him. Good morning, Todd. What's up, man? Welcome to the show. Get off.
I like the Devon A-Chain move. I really do.
A-Chain.
Yep.
A cane. It's A-Chain. I've heard 3 different pronunciations of his last name.
It's A-Chain. I've heard it all over from the guys at ESPN about it.
Well, it's not like they've never gotten names wrong.
True.
Okay, but
True.
okay. I will go with A-Chain at the moment for here on out until somebody else tells me otherwise. But I'm sure somebody will. A-Chain, Devon A-Chain. What is your thoughts of Devon A-Chain? Why do you like him, Todd?
He's a speed back who can do a lot of things out the backfield.
Mm-hmm. What about the rest of the picks? I mean, where are you at on this draft? What do you think of this draft?
I wanted Braden Willis in the 7th round, the tight end from Oklahoma, and I wanted us to get the guard from USC in the 6th round. That's the only reason why I dropped it to a B on the draft.
That's the only reason you dropped it to a B? Todd,
yep.
I think you're giving him way too much credit, bud.
I do like Cam Smith. No, I like the Cam Smith pick.
Here's the thing. I don't think you will get any pushback from anybody in the community that Cam Smith's a bad football player, by the way. I don't think that you will. Flipside Fishing, by this way, with a $2 donation says, don't sleep on Aubrey Miller. He may surprise. I agree with that. I think that was a great undrafted.
I think Cam Smith was a need pick also for another reason. We don't know how Needham's going to come back from injury with his Achilles. We don't know how some of these players are coming back from injury in the secondary.
I think 2 reasons why they went at Cam Smith, right? Number one, you can't deny his talent, right? Great talent. Nobody's sitting here denying that. Top 3 corner in the draft. Debatable, but top 3 in my opinion. So if he's a top 3 corner in the draft, you got him at 51. That's value. You can't deny that value, Todd.
Right.
So now you say, okay, his talent is great. Well, why are you getting him at 51 when you have other needs? Well, I think part of what happened last year in all of the injuries that decimated the secondary, they don't want any excuse. If somebody gets hurt, next man up, because anybody at 1 through 8 can play, can ball.
And the reason I don't think they got an offensive lineman early is because I think they're being more picky. They're not going to reach for one that doesn't fit their scheme of what they want to do.
So here's the thing, right, Todd, about the O-line. Everybody's saying now that the draft is over, and they didn't really address it except with Ryan Hayes in the 7th round, who, by the way, is almost a spitting image of Liam Eichenberg's college experience. Not size, just some of the same things that you were saying about Liam being great. Oh, he started 4 years at Notre Dame. Oh, he allowed 1 sack in his last year, and all this stuff. Doesn't that sound very familiar with Ryan Hayes? Played at Michigan, played on that offensive line, didn't allow sacks. Sounds familiar, right? So, but we see how Liam's working out, and I don't have any faith that a 7th round rookie is going to start or make a significant impact on the team. But maybe we're wrong. We've been wrong before.
Right.
But we're still asking for, an exception to the rule that is norm, right? We're still asking for a miracle. We're still asking for, a statistical anomaly with a 7th round pick with him. Now, aside from that, I got a lot of background noise there, Todd. They still have the Dolphins allegedly going after undrafted or going after veteran free agents to address the offensive line.
Yep, and that's what I think is going to happen.
I hope that's the case, but let's be honest with ourselves. Let's bring out 2 names, DJ Fluker and Cam Fleming.
I think, well, you got to also, what's the other? And Shell. You got to put Shell in.
And Shell. Okay, so let's say those 3. Todd, if the Dolphins find a way to sign Cam Fleming, Brandon Shell, and DJ Fluker, I'll even do you one better, Todd. Just give me 2 of those 3.
Yeah.
You give me 2 of those 3. Are you okay with the offensive line that is going into the year next year?
Yes, completely.
And you don't have any problem with them not addressing it in the draft?
Nope.
In the chat, I'd like your pick. If the Dolphins got 2 of those 3 guys, and obviously, having the draft that we had, would you be upset? Would you be okay? I
think we would have addressed it if we wouldn't have lost our 1st round pick, because we would have had more of a options in that 1st round at tackle or guard. I think it came down to not having the picks this year.
I mean, that's obviously the case there, Todd, right? We didn't have the 1st.
So I would rather them go with a veteran than try to, take a chance on an offensive lineman they're not in love with.
Raphael says, I don't want any of those 3 guys, Steven. I mean,
I want Fleming. Fleming
started last year and has a history of starting in the NFL. So, Raphael says UDFA to fill positions. I get that the Dolphins have a decent track record with UDFA.
There is a UDFA.
No way, Raphael, that the Dolphins are going to be getting 2 potential starters on the offensive line through UDFAs. Not going to happen.
Now, listen, I would like Cam Fleming, but there's a name you didn't mention on the UDFAs that stand out. There's a guy from the University of Miami that we drafted.
DJ Scoff.
Yes. He is a very mobile guard. And that's somebody you can possibly put in a guard in the future.
Is he going to start week 1, though, is the question.
Well,
no, he's not.
Over Liam Eichenberg.
I don't necessarily see it. It'll be interesting. All right. So overall, you give the draft a what?
Yeah, I give him a B.
All right. I disagree with that, but
okay.
I
do it because of the lack of picks that we had, but we did get some good talent. I do see what they're doing with the receiver.
The last part of your thing. I do think we got good talent, but we'll have to see what happens. All right. Anything else before I let you go, Todd?
No. By the way, about what Lakers All Day said.
Yeah.
Does he think Milwaukee or New York would have beat Milwaukee?
Yeah. Yeah, Lakers All Day. Answered Todd's question in the chat. with that whack New York Knicks are going to beat the Heat.
And the Panthers just didn't come back against the best team in hockey this year. No. The best team in hockey history by record.
Well,
they broke the record this year for the most wins of any hockey team in a season. Well, and the Panthers just came back 3-1 on them.
Good night. See you later, Boston. Go home, eat some bean pies, go back and have some New England clam chowder, and sit on the couch and watch the rest of the Stanley Cup playoffs, because that's what happened.
Oh, and Lewis, I love how the Lightning played, too. Let's go Lightning, right?
No, we're never saying that on this channel.
No, they lost. They got knocked out. That's why I'm saying it.
Right.
Yes,
that's right.
Toronto knocked them out.
Oh man, hey, where's Lewis when you need him?
Yeah, right.
I can't wait for Lewis to come on the show today. Hopefully he comes on. He probably ducking. Lewis is probably ducking. He don't want none of this smoke.
Hey, right, have a good one.
Yep. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. I got 3 people in the back room, and I got a lot more spots in the back room. I'm bringing you all on one at a time to give your grade of the Miami Dolphins draft. Let's go. Bring it on. Hit the like button. Only 64 likes, over 125 of y'all in the room. Let's go. Let's enjoy the show. Robert, good morning. How are you, buddy?
Sick as crap, Steven.
Are you sick because of the draft?
No, I'm sick because Maryland's got some crappy ass weather.
Bro, you're telling me. I live here. I get it. I understand it.
Same.
It's horrible.
Freaking bleh.
It's horrible. It rained all. Now, I will say this on Saturday. So the reason why I didn't do anything, so I did the show on Friday night. Just a little quick side note. My wife's like, we're getting away for the weekend. So we had the babysitter come and, take the kids for the weekend. And my wife and I went with her best friend and her significant other. And we went up to a winery up in like Western Maryland, like an hour and a half away from where we're at. And we sat there from open to close, drinking wine all day. And it was, and we had no cell phone service. So like the day 3 of the draft is going on. And every now and again, I'd get like a bar and I'd get like a thing that comes through. And I'm like, okay, what did the Dolphins? And it was like, we're talking like once an hour, I would get one bar. And I'm trying to see what the Dolphins did in day 3 of the draft. And when they finally made their picks, like when they got Higgins and it was a wide receiver, I'm in the middle of this winery and I said, what the and I screamed it out loud and everybody turned around. I was like, I'm sorry, guys. Dolphins just made a pick I don't agree with. I can't stand it. And so I just, that's what I was doing Saturday. I was drinking wine and in my feelings about that 3rd pick. So
let's talk about that real quick.
Okay, go ahead. Talk about it. I'm here.
So we had 4 picks, right? Not a lot of room to work with.
Not a lot of room to work with.
The offensive line options at the time we picked weren't great. So I'll happily take.
Well, that's not true.
What?
That's not true. Schmidt.
Schmidt, you can make an argument for Schmidt. You can make an argument. You can make an argument for 1 or 2.
If the Dolphins pick Schmidt, this would be an A draft. I don't care who else they picked.
So they could pick Schmidt and then pick 3 other wide receivers, and you're telling me it's still an A?
Yep, sure would. Sure would.
Nah, yeah. we're going to disagree on that, man. We're going to disagree.
Okay, I'm exaggerating a little bit, Robert, but yes, I feel that strongly about Schmidt. The dude's going to be a baller in the NFL, and the Dolphins just said no, thank you. Like
he wasn't up there on their board in comparison to where Cam was.
Like we don't have needs on the offensive line.
So hold on, I'll get to that. It's not like they had a plethora of options at the offensive line. They had 1 or 2 that you would consider, but if you ask where their talent lies, Cam was rated higher talent-wise.
He was. No, so
okay.
He wasn't a good
let me finish.
Okay.
I'm not done yet, and then we can go back and forth on it.
Go ahead, Robert.
A-Chain, he should be exciting to watch. I don't have an issue with that pick at all. Yeah, there's probably another guard sitting there that could have been picked up. But did we need a back? Yes. Does it preclude us from getting Dalvin Cook? No, but it completely puts that entirely in our hands.
Mhm.
The 6th round pick, 7th round pick,
Is irrelevant because those guys
most of the time they don't make the team.
correct.
So if we're upset about those and we're letting that sway it, I disagree a little bit.
So let me just speak to that real quick. I think fans are upset about it because they were already upset with the first 2 picks. And so it's not like those other picks. So it was like, okay, you're going after a wide receiver, which we clearly have the best wide receiving core in the NFL.
But that's not what
and you're going to try to convert him to tight end when we clearly would say that most wide receivers can't block for crap anyway. Not all of them. And I'm not saying Isaiah is not a part of that, right? I'm just telling you the rule. Like, I didn't know anything about him. Like when I saw, or I said Isaiah, when I saw Elijah Higgins, I don't know why I was calling him Isaiah Higgins. When I saw Elijah Higgins and I saw that name, I had no clue who he was. I just saw a wide receiver from Stanford, 6th rounder. And I said, what? Like, why? Why? Why would the Dolphins do this? The Dolphins clearly need a natural tight end because it's not like at tight end they're using him for catching needs for the most part, with the exception of maybe some red zones.
So I agree. I agree with you in that sense. When I first heard the pick about Elijah, whatever his name is, because I don't know the player all that well. I'm not going to sit there until I've gone and watched a bunch of tape on him because I haven't. What I do know is Mike Gesicki had no interest in blocking. The report on this kid is that he's willing to block and he can block. Does he need to learn the tight end position a little bit? Or does he need to learn the tight end position, period? Yeah, but we have one of the better tight end coaches in the league. And it's not like Darnell Washington was still there when the 6th round came around. And then, other than that, you were left with versions of Mike Gesicki again, which don't really work for this offense. So if you find something that fits a mold that, yes, you have to change and tweak and work with, it's a 6th round pick. It doesn't come ready to go. It comes with work.
It comes with work. You are correct. But
so can
you admit to me, Robert, that the Dolphins have a negative track record of trying to convert players to tight end?
Who was the last one we tried to convert to tight end? Tanner Connor?
I'm just saying, in general.
Yeah, that's my question. Tanner Connor?
I mean,
what other case do you have?
Go back and look at our tight ends for the last few years.
I'm asking you because I don't know. Weren't most of them tight ends when we drafted them?
I don't believe that they were. Not all of them.
I don't know the number on that, Steven. The only one I know that we have tried to convert and the jury's still out is Tanner Connor. But I thought Clay was a natural tight end. Smythe was a tight end. Gesicki was a natural tight end. Hunter Long was natural.
Charles Clay was a running back converted to tight end.
Okay.
Okay, there's
and one. That's way far back.
Yep, that's fine. That's fair. Okay.
And that's not this coaching staff. So actually, we can only really evaluate this coaching staff on that if we're being fair.
I got you. Hold on. I'm literally typing as we speak. And by the way,
I think you have one, and it's like Connor
that didn't count. They said.
What's that?
They're trying to tell me that Clay doesn't count because
he's like 2 or 3 regimes ago, easily.
All right, Gesicki was a tight end at Penn State.
Smythe was a tight end. Hunter Long was a tight end. The only one you have You might have two because I don't remember what the other guy's name was that we got rid of last year.
They said Tanner Connor was a fullback or a running back in college.
Tanner Connor, I said, was a convert.
Yep. Which
but
the
we
book is still out on him.
Yep, we tried to trade a guy last year. Who was that?
So who was our starting tight end before Gesicki?
Clay.
Charles Clay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is precedent. I got you too. Tanner Connor, Charles Clay. And when we did have a real tight end, it's not like we utilized them properly.
Hold on. So let's just go to that real quick. Charles Clay was a damn good tight end. You can call that one a success.
I don't know about that. He fell off.
He went and got 30-something million from Buffalo. He played well for us. He wasn't a failure as a tight end. Was he a top 10? No. Was he a decent tight end?
Alec Ingold played a lot from the tight end position. Adam Shaheen, they said Adam Shaheen's
That's
another
the other
one. Yep.
That's the one I was trying to think of. So I would consider Adam Shaheen a bust.
Yep.
I would consider Charles Clay a success.
It's not like we haven't tried to do this in the past, right? And to be fair to even your statement, you're asking us to be fair to the process on a 6th round pick that probably won't make the team anyway.
And he might not. We don't know. But it's better than spending it on a replica of Mike Gesicki that we know didn't work here.
J.R. Black says Clay was an H-back. Clay also played well at tight end. J.R. Black said. Rafael Fortnite says Christian Wilkins.
The Christian Wilkins is just great at everything.
Everything. That man is good at whatever he does.
Like the other piece that you're missing on it too is your offensive line. They set up before they're going to go add more pieces and address more of it in the second wave of free agency here. So we know we're going to get a veteran right tackle probably, our veteran guard.
We hope that we will.
What do you mean hope? You're going to get either Brandon Shell, Fleming, Reisner's still out there.
Yep.
And you even named one more that I can't remember off the top of my head.
Taylor Lewan is another one that could be, but that's a huge question mark. And yeah, that's a huge question mark.
I'll pass on Taylor Lewan, but
Reisner, Fleming, and Fluker. Fluker's the other one too.
Yeah.
You know,
you get one of those three covers down on one spot. You have 20-something offensive linemen.
You're wrong. You're still asking us. So Fleming probably starts already.
What's your issue with Brandon Shell?
Shell's not here at the moment. We don't know if we're going to get him.
I just listed him in that list, did I not?
You did.
Okay.
I don't understand why Shell's not here already and why he wasn't a priority.
Because you're waiting to see how the draft board fell.
No, they didn't. They had a chance to go get him. That's wrong.
If they would have drafted a right tackle, then you wouldn't need to bring in Brandon Shell.
Well, I mean, in theory, I guess they got Ryan Hayes, so maybe they're not going to go get him.
Let me rephrase my statement. If they would have drafted right tackle high, you would need to go get Brandon Shell.
I'm telling you right now, the Dolphins had a chance to address the offensive line in this draft. They decided not to, except with the 7th round pick in Ryan Hayes, in my opinion, probably more to appease the fan base than it was than anything. And it's not like you appeased them because it's a 7th round pick at offensive line who won't make the team.
I don't disagree with that statement, but I think they're going to fix the rest of the offensive line in the second wave of free agency.
So everybody gets mad at me because I am the hopium dealer. I get it. All right. Nobody likes hope more than me. But with the exception of hope, Robert, what makes you think that the Miami Dolphins are going?
So they've already had conversations with these individuals and tell them to hold tight till after the draft. They've already had conversations with Brandon Shell and said, yes, they want to bring him back. Hold tight till after the draft. They've already had conversations with Taylor Lewan and Cam Fleming. They've already brought these people in. Do you honestly think those discussions didn't include like, hey, we're interested. We want to see how the draft goes?
I just don't think that they cared about the draft when it came to that point. They and their picks showed that. Their picks showed that they did like they have
No,
a
the one position you named was center. Justin
who was
Smith was
a
the center.
guard. Schmitz could play guard. He fills your left guard role.
Wasn't he a starting center though?
He was, but you can move any center over to guard. Very
Okay.
easy to make that transition. And by the way, even if he's the better center, you can still move your current center over to guard, whose natural position was that anyway.
I don't disagree with that, but maybe they're looking at it as
all you're worried about at that point is a backup left tackle position and a starting right tackle position, which are huge.
I would say your starting right tackle.
Your backup left tackle would be Brandon Shell, right? Which nobody would argue that. Right? Nobody's going to sit here and say Shell can't come in for 4 or 5 games and be productive. Now, there's a huge drop-off when Teron Armstead's out, but still, I can live with Brandon Shell.
Do you think it's impossible for them to bring 2 in?
What, backups in the offensive line?
If you bring Cam Fleming in and Brandon Shell in, one of those is a starter.
If we brought both those guys in, I would be very happy, and I would say as much on the channel, Robert. You would get that out of me, but you would also get, it's a question mark. It is a huge question mark because you have to hope that Brandon Shell repeats what he showed at times last year, right? And you also have to say Cam Fleming needs to still be, a quality offensive lineman, right? And to be fair, was that offensive line anything to hold on to in Denver last year? It wasn't. Now, there's a lot of reasons for that, but it wasn't. And so we need him to come in here and make this. You're asking Cam Fleming, hey, man, we need you to come in here and we need you to upgrade this offensive line, not just be a part of it, upgrade it.
You also have no guarantee that a rookie selected in the second round is going to come in and be that guy. Liam Eichenberg is proof of that.
Liam Eichenberg. So a couple things about Liam. When he was picked, I would say that the fan base was probably say that nobody hated the pick. There were people that didn't love the pick, but nobody hated the pick. And then there were people that were like, oh, go look. He started for 4 years at Notre Dame. He gave up 1 sack last year. I mean, this is the prototypical type of guy we want at the position. And then there was the other half that was like, oh, it's just Notre Dame. Hey, who did he really face? Can we really trust that, he's that good? Or, was he on a great offensive line and had a decent quarterback? And was that why, he was able, is that why the numbers were so good? Like, what were the other contributing factors? Because there's always other contributing factors to think why a kid has those type of numbers. And so it's true because it showed. Liam has not proven at the moment. And I will admit that the book is still out on him, but for a second round pick who we were hoping to be a contributor and a starter, he has not proven to be what we hoped he would be. Now,
I agree
if Liam Eichenberg was a 7th round pick, the way that Ryan Hayes is, we would all be like, oh my God, that guy's still developing. He's still getting good. We would look at him totally differently than we do as if he wasn't a second round pick.
You are correct. But here is the issue is what you're saying. You're making the assertion that since we would have drafted him 2nd or 3rd, that we wouldn't have a repeat of the same scenario. Out of the linemen we have drafted in the last 3 years, we've gotten 1 right.
You're correct. Nobody's arguing with you on that.
I will take the positions for the talent where I know we can hit, and I will fill with veterans where I can.
Hey, Robert. So here's my counter argument to that. All right, and you're right, by the way. Just want to throw it out there. You're right. You heard me say that, right? You're right.
Yep.
If the Dolphins selected Schmidt and whiffed, everybody would have been like, that's just bad luck. Dolphins just had bad luck because he was the right
No,
pick there.
no. That's not
Yes,
no.
he was the right
No,
pick
that's
there.
not.
Yes, it
See,
would
and you're
have been.
no. Hold
what
on
you
a
want.
second.
Say
Hold
what you
on a
want.
second. No.
Bad
Hold on
luck.
a second.
Just
Hold
bad
on.
luck.
Hold on.
And I got other people in the back. So this
No,
is your final comment. Go ahead.
that's fine. You're fooling yourself, and you know you're fooling yourself because people would have gone at him and been like, Greer can't evaluate the offensive line to sit there.
But
Yeah.
But Schmidt was the right pick there. I can
And
live with Darnell Washington not being picked. I don't like it. I think he should have, especially in the third round. But
I
Schmidt,
understand, but
Schmidt not being picked, bruh. If the Dolphins picked him, we all would have been.
I don't disagree with that. I wouldn't have been upset with the Schmidt pick. I wouldn't have been upset with the Schmidt pick.
Nobody would have been.
But I don't think Cam's a bad pick by any stretch of the imagination, and he frees them up next year. So I'm not.
Hey, Robert, do me a favor today. Do me a favor anytime. In the last 48 hours, or any YouTube content creator for the Dolphins, go find me somebody that said Cam Smith is a bad pick. They're not saying
I don't think there is one.
Pick, but they're saying that it wasn't the correct pick for the Dolphins at 51. That's what they're saying. That's their argument to it. It's a good pick. It's a solid pick for the value. He's a great he's a great talent, and the possibilities for him are fun to watch. Like he could end up being that we're all sitting here next year this time being like, man, what a hell of a pick that was, Cam Smith. Man, that Greer looks like a genius with that pick. And
so here's the thing with that statement.
Right pick.
You can't definitively make that statement until the team's set.
That's
when the team is set, then you can go back and be like, we have a huge issue here. We failed to fix it. At this point, if we remove that, we still would have been okay by swapping that. You still have another 3-4 months until the team is set.
And
you still have a second wave of free agency.
And that's what Kyle Krabs was saying this morning. He was saying, guys, wait till September. If we're still in the same position in September, then you guys can complain. But understand, we still have the second round of free agency, and we still have post-June 1st moves. So and
there's still other trade shit too.
You're right. 100%.
Right.
All right, Robert. I love you, man. Thank you for coming on, brother.
Bud.
Yep. See you later. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. The link is pinned to the top of the page. We at least got another good hour left, so I want to hear from you. Get in where you fit in. The floor is yours. I'm bringing y'all on. I want you all to tell me what you think of the draft and where your thoughts and head are at after 4 picks of the draft for the Miami Dolphins and where you think they're at. All right, next person up, Crypto. Good morning, Crypto. How are you, man?
Good morning, Steven. What's going on?
What's up, buddy? Good to hear from you.
Good to hear from you, man.
What's up, buddy? How are you, man? Tell me your thoughts and feelings, man. The floor is yours.
Listen, I know I'm the kind of guy I would give a grade. You know me, Steven. I'm a precise individual. You know, but you know, I've about a week ago. Actually, it started at the beginning of the season. You know, of this off season, I was the one that made the most unpopular take when it comes to upgrading. It just had nothing to do with Tua. It was the Xavier McDaniel. I mean, X, right? Not Xavier. You know what I'm saying? X, right? Howard. Yes, I said McDaniel. I'm thinking about the guy from the Knicks. But yeah, Xavier Howard, right? I made the unpopular pick that we need to think about getting rid of him and trying to move on from him. So this right here addresses the issue.
I think I remember you saying that.
Yeah, everybody roasted me for that take because they was like Cater Kohu was sufficient and all this other stuff. But apparently Greer, he listened to Crypto. You know, he considered Crypto's opinion.
Lord, here we go now.
So
Greer
therefore,
Crypto for his advice.
So said Steven, I'm just saying, you know, he kind of took my side of that argument. He said, "Hey, we got to look forward to the future." Eventually, this guy's getting old.
That would mean that Greer either A, follows you, and or B, and maybe a little bit of both, listens to Clock Blockers, the #1 Miami fan morning show. Neither
Both
of
to be
which
true.
I think he does. Okay.
Both of them's true, Stephen. He listens to both
know.
of us and he takes our advice.
And if he does, he probably says, man, these fans are nuts. That's why I made the moves I made, because y'all are
Hey,
crazy.
he doesn't listen to me for advice, Stephen, but he bailed me out on that argument.
Okay.
He kind of bailed me out by making his very first pick a
Did he,
cornerback.
though, did he
Because but my main argument was not so that X is terrible. I was just saying X is on the decline. That's all I was trying to say. And we need to think about moving on from
think
it.
about life after him, and that's fine.
Right.
And they did that with Cam Smith, but X will be on
His athletic profile. His athletic profile is outstanding. Cam Smith athletic profile for a cornerback is great. He has long arms. He has good shifty feet. I mean, that's what you need, a tall guy. And if you and with the arms thing, right? So if you're not, the one thing about having long arms as a corner, Steven, if you get beat a little bit, your arms make up the difference, makes up the gaps. So that's why I like cornerbacks with long arms that's got decent speed. So that helps out a lot as a boundary guy.
Let me ask
so
you,
that's why I'm not giving a grade. I'm giving a satisfactory because the test hasn't been taken yet. You never know, haven't been panned out.
This is real grade school. You must give grades. This isn't satisfactory, unsatisfactory, needs improvement. We're not doing kindergarten grades here.
You cannot give a grade on a test that's not been taken. So take that for what it's worth.
Everything gets graded in drafts, and sir, this is at best.
Everybody's wrong when they talk about grades. This guy's got to be scored after the season, Steven.
By the way, just so everybody who's listening knows, Crypto grades and puts a number on everything. So the fact that he's not on this, A, is astounding and outrageous to me, and B is just wrong. Like, yes, you can, right? Like,
yes, I'm known for putting a number on everything. I give percentages,
and I can't believe you're not on this.
On this one, I'm punting on this one, Steven. I would say very satisfactory, Steven.
No,
this is a very satisfactory grade I'm giving it.
So Crypto, are you upset about anything that the Dolphins did?
Actually, I would say I'm not upset, and I would also say I'm not really surprised at the wide receiver pick that they're trying to turn into a tight end. I mean, he's got the build of Charles Clay, but he's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna play like Charles Clay, but because he's playing a totally different position. So that's why Zachary the separation.
Don't let Crypto gaslight you, Steven. He totally is, Zachary. Thank you.
What? How is I a gaslight? I'm giving a grade, but it's just not a letter grade. That's all. Zachary, come on, Zachary, keep up.
Please.
Listen.
All right, so
Steven.
All right, so Crypto, you're not giving them a grade. You like the Cam Smith pick. What did you think of
I love it.
What did you think of the A-Chain pick?
I think it's okay. I think it's pretty good. I mean, it's kind of like he fit the speed need. Put it like that, and the versatility need. So in that sense.
By the way, you can't say he fit the speed need. He fit the speed package. He fit the package.
Okay, that's better said. Speed package. Okay. He fit the we don't need it. Yeah, just read this package. You're right. He fits in the mold of the philosophy of the team.
And it's totally understandable why Mike McDaniel would be very excited about him. I get it. I understand.
Yeah, it fits our philosophy.
And by the way, I think he's going to score more than a few touchdowns for us this year.
He's going to score. He's going to score more than Malcolm Perry.
Well, Malcolm Perry isn't here.
I know. Is he going to score more touchdowns he did in his first season or in his only season?
I think his
more than one.
I think Devon A-Chain's over-unders 5.
I would agree with that. I would say 4 to 5, perhaps 4 to 5. Yeah,
maybe 6.
And this is regardless who's on the center. He's just a good skilled ball player.
Right?
He's going to score anyways.
You got to think he might get 1 or 2 return touchdowns. I would say at least 1 return touchdown this year somewhere, whether it's punt or kickoff. And I think he'll have a chance for a couple of red zone options. And you're going to see an opportunity where he's going to come out the backfield explosive, and you're going to see. You're going to see at least one, huge run. I would venture to guess at least 1 plus 40-yard run, right? And so there's 3 touchdowns right there, and I would probably say you're going to get another 3 somewhere else, and I just don't know how. So but it will.
Yeah, pass
I
catching or
2 to 3.
running.
So
Yeah.
I think his over under is 5 of touchdowns, and it's going to be 4, 5, or 6 somewhere in that range. And he won't start, but that's
Right.
fine. We don't need him to. We just need
He'll
him to.
work his way. It's a running back by committee, Stephen. So it don't matter if he starts.
And now let me ask you: do you see a world where we still go after Dalvin Cook?
No, I think that's dead.
You think that train is passed? I don't know
Yeah.
how to feel about that yet. How
I
about
think
that?
it's dead. I think they kind of
I
answered
don't
it
know if
in
it's
that.
completely dead yet, but I would say
I would say to my fellow Dolphins fans, don't die on that sword
yeah, don't
because
die on that sword. That's a good one. I like that.
yeah,
Don't
I
die
would
on
say
that sword.
don't die on that sword because Greer's been known to push the sword all the way through.
Yep, sure has. All right, Chris,
So
last
don't
thing
do it.
before I let you go, man. Last thing.
I would
Give me
say
your
this
top-
about the offensive line. That was more like I'm gonna throw the fans a bone pick. That's
I
more like
said that, by the way, and got killed for that in the chat. I was like, I think they did it to appease the fans, although
yeah,
who are
that was
you
a throw the
appeasing
bone.
with a 7th round pick, right? So
Yes, it was. That was like okay,
I don't
I'm gonna
think
throw them a bone and just keep them at bay. That's what that was all about,
you
Steven.
can't keep me at bay with a 7th round pick at an offensive line. No,
I
thank
know,
you.
but you know how this fan base is, Steven. They'll suck
do.
it up. They'll do it.
Well,
They'll do it in a
in
heartbeat.
the 7th round, so maybe he's good. Maybe he could
Right.
be. And by the way, they're not wrong. Like maybe
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
It
He
is.
had all the numbers that Eichenberg put up in college.
Sure did.
You know, the
You saw
flashes,
how well that's worked out for us, Crypto.
keeping his quarterback clean for all of his whole career in college. I mean, hey, what can you ask more, right?
I don't know.
He kept his quarterback clean.
Crypto.
Yep.
You're the worst. You.
Hey, listen, Steven. I'm gonna do you a favor. I'm taking that countdown of your indebtedness down to half. I've cut it in half.
A half a hot dog. You want
No,
hot dog?
It's down to like 300 now.
Oh wow. Oh, 300 hot dogs.
Yes, I cut it in half.
Crypto. I love you, Crypto. Be good, buddy.
All right, man. Be good, man. I'll see you later, man.
See you later, bud. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show. Clock Blockers right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. I'm your host, Stephen D. Hit the like button. Donate to the channel. Help the channel grow. If you guys want to do a YouTube super chat and ask a question, I'll answer your question. If you guys just want to donate for the sake of donating, you can do that too. You can also use Cash App or PayPal. The link is in the chat below. Only 69 likes. Hit the like button, y'all. Let's get to 100 likes. Can we get to 100 likes? Let's go. All right, next up, I got my man Canes 1989 in the building.
Hey, good morning, Steven.
Hey, man.
How are you?
You've been telling me about those Panthers. I wasn't listening to you. I didn't think they could do it. And they pulled it off last night, man. That was a lot of fun.
What about them Heat?
What about and the Heat, too? I didn't think the Heat could. Look, and by the way, it wasn't that I didn't believe in them. It's just, I mean, they were playing the #1 seeds in their respective leagues, and the odds were not with them. But man, did they come out guns a-blazing.
Yeah, but it wasn't easy either.
It wasn't, and they both did great, and it worked out great for both of them. All right, man, tell me what you think about the draft, Canes 1989.
I like it. It's just I have to see how they fit in on each side of the ball.
Mm-hmm. And where they fit into the current roster.
Yes.
I think that's fair, right? Like if you let's look at Cam Smith, right? Cam Smith probably, I would say on most teams, is probably looking for the potential to be a starter. I would probably say I'd venture on 80 to 85% of NFL teams.
Right.
But on this team, he is just a role player at the moment. And by the way, that's a good thing for him, right? Because he's a 2nd round pick with 1st round talent, and he has potential starter and doesn't need to be. So there is absolutely no pressure on Cam Smith at all. So I think he fits very well within the roster, right? I think that's a fair statement. Let's go to Devon Achane. Devon Achane, we're not expecting him to be a starter.
Mm-mm.
And at the moment, the way the roster is looking like, it looks like, just like Crypto said, running back by committee. If you can do it, you're in.
Fair enough.
He also fits the mold of what the Miami Dolphins want to do, and that is speed. Speed, speed, speed. And so I think speed is something that McDaniel wants. It's something that he searches for, and he finds it. And when he does, and by the way, it's why I wanted Tajon. I think Tajon Smith, the Tulane running back. He was one of the fastest in the draft too, and he was like, yeah, I feel like he fit the most. But that's a 6. I didn't expect us to spend a 3rd round pick on a guy with speed. I would have said, okay, I would have been happy with a 6th or 7th round pick with some speed. But to be fair, Devon A-Chain, you're very explosive, great return guy, speed, track and field, Olympic style speed. Let's see what he does.
Now, would you say that he has to get more weight on him?
Yes and no, right? Like if his MO is just straight speed,
right,
then let him be. That's what he is. We won't. Maybe that's where Gaskin and Salvin Ahmed come into the mold more on those short down back needs. And maybe even we get to utilize our fullback, Alec Ingold, a little bit more out of the fullback position this year on short. Like, what I would love out of Alec Ingold? Lusaka politeness.
Right, that'll be good.
I would love him that Lusaka polite on 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, or 4th and 1, or 4th and 2. I would be willing. I'm not a betting man, but I would be willing to bet that man had like an 85% conversion, 80+% conversion rate on those things. Like almost every time he touched the ball on 3rd and short or 4th and short, Lusaka polite converted to a 1st down. And I felt like Alec Ingold could have been that guy last year. We weren't able to utilize him like that because of the hand injury, as well as he had to play a lot from the tight end position to block. He did. He had to, because there wasn't a blocking tight end on the roster that was filling the hole, which is why I have always said to a T that I love Durham, but maybe he's not as good of blocker as some of us want to make him out to be, because Alec Ingold did play a lot from the tight end set last year.
Yeah, he did.
So, and I'm not saying that Durham Smythe isn't. I like Durham Smythe. I am a Durham Smythe fan. But I would say that at the end of the day, that's what I was hoping we would get out of Alec Ingold, and we couldn't. And I get Alec Ingold is no Lusaka polite, but I was hoping that we could utilize him as far as a conversion was concerned and see that there. Rafael Cornay says, why not convert Alec as tight end? He did. He basically played tight end last year, Rafael. He did, 100%. All right, any final thing, Canes 1989, before I let you go, bud?
My only question is, since we got these guys in the draft, what contracts do you think we're going to offer them, short term or long term?
You talking about the draft picks themselves?
Yes.
Draft picks are very they can only be so much that 2nd, 3rd rounder. I think Cam Smith will obviously get the highest contract. I don't know what that'll look like. My guess is maybe a few mil. And it won't be guaranteed. It'll be based on, production value. And A-Chain and the other 3 the same way, right? It's going to be, based on production value. Do you play? Do you make the team? How often, how many snaps do you play? Stuff like that. So can I sit here and say what I think their contracts are going to be? No. But all 4 players will be signed on the dotted line by the time OTA start, let alone training camp. So
now, my last question is the Michigan guy,
Brian Hayes. Yep.
It seems to me like Ross wanted somebody from Michigan, since he's a Michigan guy himself.
I think it's easy to make that connection, and maybe an interesting theory for the people that want to say that Stephen Ross is putting his hand in the cookie jar. But ultimately, I think that they just happen to go to a lot of those, and maybe there's some truth in it, not from a direct standpoint, but they watch a lot of Michigan games because Stephen Ross watches a lot of Michigan games, and by that, by guilty by association, because they just happen to watch with Stephen Ross, oh man, this guy's got some talent. Oh, he looks good. Would that be somebody they
He
would have
does. I'm
normally
not gonna lie
seen?
about that.
I mean, look,
does
he's
got
got the
talent.
same, as we've been saying all morning, he's got the same intangibles that Liam Eichenberg has.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we're seeing how Liam Eichenberg is working out. So, it's up to the Dolphins on where they want to go with that. But,
That's true.
that's going to be a Butch Berry situation, right? Can Butch Berry get Ryan? The odds of him making the squad are slim to none. He's a 7th round rookie, but
He has to earn it.
he would have to earn it big time. So it'll be interesting. All right, Canes 1989. I love you. I got Chef Zhu working
All right,
on
man. You have
the
a good
issue,
day,
man.
bro.
All right, man. Be good, brother. Love you, man.
You
Be
too,
good.
man. All right, later.
All right. Next up we got Ja Vinci. What's up, man?
What's good?
What's good with you?
Man, listen, I'm gonna tell you, I'm upset.
Okay,
And
tell me
I'm
why
up-
you're upset. I want to hear it. I'm here for you.
Okay, because going into the draft, I don't know about you, but for me, going into the draft, I felt like the team was basically set. Like we had everything we needed except for like 2 positions. And those 2 positions was offensive lineman
Yep.
and tight end.
Yep. I'm not arguing
So
with you.
at taking Cam Smith, I'm not saying he's not a good player. He's a good player.
Everybody would agree with that.
But I agree with you. I would have took John Michael Smith.
All day, twice on Sunday. You couldn't have I couldn't have run up to the board fast enough to get him.
Because listen, I understand what people saying about Greer not being able to draft offensive linemen. But listen, just because you strike out or you miss a couple of times, you can't let that deter you from trying to get one.
I agree.
Also,
I think anytime you have a chance to beef up the offensive line, you should take it. Like, it shouldn't even be a question. You should always go after talent on the O-line because you can never have enough. And we clearly don't have enough, period, let alone depth.
on top of that, not only that, we always find corners. We get undrafted UDFAs. We get corners from everywhere. Nick Needham and all of these other guys.
Cater Kahoo, Trill Williams.
Yeah, we find these guys everywhere. So I don't feel like that was a big enough need to justify not taking Smith.
I concur with you from the standpoint of it's not where the Dolphins needed to put their limited resources of gaining a potential player to. Right now, let's play this out for a second, Chavinci. If the Dolphins end up having Cam Smith, who's here for 5 to 10 years, makes a couple Pro Bowls,
Okay.
ends up being a long-term starter and is potential the next X, right? Let's play this out, best case scenario. It's a great pick, and you can't argue the pick. But
Yeah.
let's compare it to Schmidt. If Schmidt, the center from Minnesota, ends up playing 10 years in the NFL and starting all those 10 years, and the Dolphins keep on having a merry-go-round of offensive line, what should the pick have been? Schmidt or Cam Smith? And I think that most Dolphin fans, if they're honest with themselves, no matter how good Cam Smith ends up being, and I think he will be good, let me throw that out there, it should have been Schmidt. Schmidt should have been the pick there in the second round. And it shouldn't even have been a question. Personal opinion. And I think most people would agree with me.
Not
Even if
only
it
that,
wasn't Schmidt, it should have been somebody else of value at a position of need. And there were starters there in the second round at positions of need. Starters, bona fide, day one, week one contributor starters there in the second round.
Yep. Not only that, I'm looking at it in the short term, not the long term, because we in a window right now. So I feel like we have 2, maybe 3 years to win a Super Bowl. So yeah, Cam Smith could be the next X, But if we need offensive linemen to get us over the hump. We need to protect Tua because see, they betting on Tua taking us to the promised land, but we can't get to the promised land if he getting hit all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and also I'm gonna say this
You
about
got to protect. You got to protect your quarterback, right?
gotta protect your assets.
I agree. I agree. I don't think that you're wrong, and I think you have a right to be upset as a fan because all you want is what. Just explain. And by the way, it's not even explain to me. Like, I think if we're honest with ourselves, we don't want. I mean, we would like for Chris Greer to explain in full detail his picks, but we also know we can't do that because he would probably be letting go of some valuable information that would help our opponents, right? So I get why
Yeah.
you don't always give us everything.
Mm-hmm.
But we as fans also don't see it, right? We're like, make it make sense. We've been talking
Yeah.
about for a decade. Hey, I understand you haven't been the captain of the ship for a decade. Only what, 5 years, 6 years tops? I get it. But you've been here long enough to know that this offensive line's been a merry-go-round for years. And we're sick of it as fans. We're done. We know that in order for us to be successful, we need Tua to be upright because Tua is great in this offense. No, and you can't, and you can sit here and argue with me. I was about to say you can't argue with me, but I'm sure Tua stands or excuse me, Tua haters will, and I get it. But at the end of the day, we need him to be protected, and you can't do that if he cannot stay upright. And that offensive line has been a merry-go-round. It's been a revolving door.
Yep.
And I'm sick of it.
Not only
Sick of
not
it.
only that, the running back pick, I'm gonna say like Devin A Chain, the college tape is good. It
Mhm.
looked good, but the NFL is different. The
Mhm.
guy is too I feel like he's too small. I think he's too small, and in my opinion, I would have took the tight end, what his name?
Darnell Washington.
Yes, yes. Now
Darnell
they say
Washington was there in the third. You know, it was funny. I said, all right, I could deal with the Cam Smith pick. If you get Darnell Washington a chance to get him in the third round, oh my God, you go get him. By the way, he was picked 7 picks after our pick. And somebody
wow.
saw the value in him, right? They're like, okay, we see it. So, uh, my opinion, Darnell Washington would have been my pick in the second round.
Okay.
Right? And even if he's hurt, fine. I'll deal with Saubert and Durham Smythe and Tanner Connor for the first half of the year, and maybe another tight end. Because remember, last year, ladies and gentlemen, we broke camp with 5 tight ends. Last year, we broke
Mm-hmm.
camp, and that didn't include Alec Ingold. That didn't include him. So yeah, so I think that would have been, Schmidt, and then Darnell would have been great, and I would have loved every second of
Yeah.
it. All right, Javinci, one more thing before I let you go, man. What final thought from you? Got some other people in the back, brother.
Well, that's all I had. I just feel like Washington, even if he was hurt, because that's what they were saying. They were
That's
saying
why he was slipping, and allegedly off the field issues too. But I don't know.
I just feel like the upside was worth the risk.
I concur with you. You and
All
I
right.
are on the same page. All right,
All
man.
right then. Have a good day.
Thanks for calling in, man. Thanks for watching the show. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already, man. Appreciate it.
All right.
All right. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. Next up, Solo Boy Zoe. What's up, man? By the way, Lewis and Dolphin Don are in the back. I'm going to get to you, gentlemen. Solo Boy Zoe, what's good, man?
What's up, man? How you doing, man?
I'm doing, man. I'm surviving. I'm taking it day by day and trying to get these Dolphin fans from off the ledge, which
Okay,
I feel
okay.
like some Dolphins fans are.
Hey, same old Dolphins.
Same old Dolphins, and good, bad, or indifferent. Tell me your thoughts, man. What did you think of the draft, Solo Boy Zoe?
And man, I expected them to do all the dumb stuff that they did. That's how I see it. But if I'm gonna give them a grade, I'm gonna give them a D plus. And the only
Wow.
reason why I say the D plus is because I think one of your callers said something that made kind of sense. When we go to sign these players, we're not gonna break the bank for them and
Mhm.
stuff, and we'll be able to save money on them. But my thing with all these players we drafted, none of them ain't gonna start. And the draft ain't about that. The
Mhm.
draft is about your needs. The corner, yeah, he a good player and everything, but he not gonna play over Kader Korhu. Last year, Kader showed like a big improvement. With this cornerback, like we see he good in college, but we ain't see nothing in the pros yet. And the college and the pros is two different things. And with me, Cater already over him. So I would say he'll be battling with Trill. He's gonna be battling with Trill, and because Trill got hurt.
Mhm.
So he not a starter. The
All
running
right,
back,
so let me throw this out there for you, okay, Solo Boy. Number one, Cater who came in as an undrafted free agent last year. Nobody expected him to even make the roster, right? He comes
that's a
in, he
plus.
makes he makes the roster, right? He looks by week 2 of training camp, there are articles in the Sun Sentinel, in the Miami Herald about Cater Kahu and how good he's doing, right? At Dolphins Wire, everywhere. There were articles about the kid. And they said, man, and by the way, he wasn't even the main focus of that article. It was Trill Williams who was, right? Trill Williams was the guy that everybody was looking at. And so Trill Williams, who obviously got hurt and, is somebody that I am super excited about for this year on many different levels, right? The man was claimed off waivers. There's a lot to like about him. Played at Syracuse, just a lot of good stuff to like about the kid. He ends up getting hurt, but you could say that he was in front of Cater Kahu at that point. Well, then he goes down. Cater Kahu obviously already stepping up and changing eyes, gets an opportunity to make the team. Now, with all of that being said, Solo Boys, though, then all of a sudden these injuries start getting decimated. So now Cater Kahu's getting more playing time and more playing time and more playing time that he probably wouldn't have gotten in the first place if the injuries hadn't have been decimated the way that they were. That's a fair statement. Now, he stepped up when he was asked to, and he showed that he can play with these guys in the NFL at a high level, at an elite level, right? In certain cases. I would agree with you from the standpoint of Cam Smith maybe isn't to the level of Cater Kahu right now, but that's only because Cam Smith hasn't played in the NFL yet. If you're taking at it from its base point, Cam Smith is starting at a much higher level than Cater Kahu is. And that's because he played in the SEC. He was rated as top 3 corner in the draft and most people's draft boards. And the kid is good. So once Cam Smith gets to get into training camp, and by the way, gets to go to practice every day against a guy like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Braxton Berrios and Robbie Anderson, that's gonna do nothing but elevate his game to the next level. And you might be right from the standpoint that he won't start, but it's not because he's not good enough to start, probably. It'll be more likely that there's no place for him to start because there's so much talent in the secondary already. Because my guess is 28 other teams in the NFL, there might be 2 or 3 only that Cam Smith wouldn't start week 1. We just happen to be one of those 3 teams. Point blank.
So you basically telling me by mid training camp, Cam is gonna be better than Cater.
Will he be better than Cater? I don't know if that's fair to say, but I would say like like we will see. Holy cow, this kid is legit, and his potential should be higher than Cater's. He's a second round pick. Cater, who was an undrafted, and for all intents and purposes, Cater's already exceeded expectations, right? Already,
Yeah,
just by
yes, I agree
making
with
the
you.
team, he exceeded expectations. Let alone doing what he accomplished.
Yes, I agree with you. But now all that prove is all these mock drafts, all these statistic guys saying this a first round, this a second round. It's like it's a myth because you don't know what the player is until the player get on the field and they play. Not taking nothing away from Cam now, but all I'm saying is like Cater go undrafted and get thrown into the fire, and he hanging in with because last year we played good talent. Last year we didn't play no bad teams. He played against the Chargers. That was good receivers. 49ers, good receivers. Green Bay, good receivers. Now this what I would say if we would throw Cam in this year, now we would see like we'll be able to make the difference because we play a lot of good receivers this year too. But I don't think like with the pick, I don't understand them picking that pick. Period. I think they should have went offensive lineman, and then our next pick should have been a linebacker. We need linebacker. We don't have like our linebackers. They getting old. Nobody don't want to say it. And then the one we draft last year, we don't even know if he's gonna get on the field this year. So
Look, I understand your point of it was not a position of need, but it does address the position of depth, and it does protect the future that when Xavier or Jalen are not here, Cam Smith will be somebody that can step in and then obviously be the starter at
all
that
right,
point.
I agree with you with that, but this is my thing. When will he step in? I think he'll probably step in probably within year 3 or 4.
Maybe so. Here's the thing, Solo Boyzo, and then I want you to go on to your next point. The Dolphins, from top to bottom, have the best secondary in the NFL, and it's not even debatable, in my opinion.
I agree with you. I agree.
Not even debatable. And if you choose to debate it with me, and not just you, I'm saying people in general, I'd love to hear your viewpoints from 1 through 8 on the secondary. There's nobody better 1 through 8. You might say one or two could be better than Jalen and X, but I mean, come
I
on,
agree.
Jalen.
This is why I'm gonna tell you I'm agree with you. Because healthy wise, we got the best two corners. Our slot, Nick Needham, healthy wise, he's one of the best. Now corners coming up, healthy wise, we got Cater, and then we have the other guy crossing. He's good. And then Trill coming in, that's another good one. And then now we just drafted Cam. So yes, healthy wise, all them guys healthy. Yes, I would say we about top 5. We're in the top 5. Now with the running back, like I don't think we should to me, I don't think we should have drafted him. Yeah, he fast. It was a lot of fast running backs in the
You talking
draft.
about the A-Train?
A-Train, yeah, A-Train. Yeah, we got a lot of fast running backs, but this is my thing. He another guy. He not gonna see the field. This where I see he gonna play. He gonna play with special teams, like special teams. And my thing is, he not our best special team player.
I can tell you right now, Mike McDaniel's face and body language was not that of somebody who looked like they were just going to play special teams for the Dolphins next year. It looked like somebody who was about to come in and do some bangs on this offense this year. That's what that looked like from Mike McDaniel. I don't think he'll just be a special teams guy.
I agree with you now because Mike McDaniels. Everybody think highly of him. I actually don't.
They should. He gave us a top 10 offense for the first time in over almost 30 years.
But this is my thing. Like we don't never get an offensive coach. Most of the coaches we mainly get, they mainly be defense. And if they're not defense, they don't really be an offensive guru like him. They'll probably be like a special team or have their own scheme and stuff. I see where you're coming from with that, but I don't know, man. I don't think too highly of him. That's just me. Everybody, different. But the reason why I say that, he's not even the fastest on the team. So any way you use him, we could use Mostert like that. We could use Jeff like that. We could use Ahmed. I think he's the same player like Ahmed.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see, man. Hey, man, I got a couple people in the back, man. I appreciate you coming on this morning. and I hear your pain. I know why you're upset, man. And just
this is what I
as
say. I'm not
Kyle
upset.
Crab said today, let's wait till September. I think it'll
This is
get
what I'm
better.
saying. I'm not upset now. I expected them to do all these moves. They never do. They never surprise me. I'm not upset.
So you
I
weren't
expect-
surprised
Nah,
by
I
the
ain't surprised.
moves that they decided to make because you
I'm
expected to
not
be
surprised.
disappointed.
One thing
on
I
it.
could say is this probably might be their worst draft, Greer worst draft going down in history. But I ain't
Wow, you
upset.
think this is Greer's worst draft? That's a hot take, bro.
Man, hey, put it down. I think this is gonna be his worst. Because none of these guys ain't gonna get on the field as a starter. So to me, that's gonna be the worst. At least in the
Greer's
previous
worst
ones,
Really?
man.
That's rough,
That's
man.
what
I don't know
you could
about
put
that.
that for the hot take.
All right. I got it. All right, Solo Boys, though. I appreciate it, man. Be good. I don't know if that's Greer. I don't know if it's Greer's worst draft. That's a tough one. I'm not happy with it. Again, guys, I'm not happy because of they drafted bad players. They drafted good players. They just drafted players we didn't necessarily need as a priority. That's what I'm upset about with them. That is my I understand the Cam Smith pick. I understand the A-Chain pick because of the offense that McDaniel wants to run. I get what they want in Elijah Higgins. I don't know if they're going to get it, but I know what they're hoping happens with him. And Ryan Hayes fits the mold of a potential low risk, high reward player. Do I think he'll make the team? Probably not. But I wouldn't say this is their worst draft. This just happens to be a draft where we only had 4 picks. We didn't utilize positions that we needed. And that's frustrating and rough and upsetting. And that's what it is. Interesting. All right, next up, Lewis. What's up, Lewis?
Man, Stephen, good morning. What are we
Good
crying about
morning to
today?
you. How are you, man?
I'm great. I don't know what the doom and gloom is. What is everybody crying for?
Man, what does the Drake song say? I'm upset because the Dolphins went and picked up these regrets, and I don't know what else to say, but they the worst. That's
not-
what people are thinking.
They're not regrets, Stephen. I cannot believe what I just heard. Solo Boys, though, let me tell you something. You're better than this. This man just sat here and said, and I forgot who was before, saying that Cater Cole, who, first of all, Cater Cole, who's not better than Cam Smith today. I don't care what Cater Cole has done in the NFL. As of right now, he's not better than Cam Smith. And let me let people know why Cam Smith is probably going to be on the field. Because if you think a second-round pick is not seeing the field, I'm sorry. We're not going to call people names. I just think that's an asinine take. That's number one. Number two, what did we hear about Vic Fangio's scheme once we got Jalen Ramsey? Ramsey.
It would have been. It's predicated on a lot of secondary movement.
Thank you. And what does that mean? Who's on our secondary right now that we're probably going to see in multiple positions?
Jalen
Ramsey, right? Well, Ramsey. Listen, Ramsey's going to play some safety for us this year. You're going to see Ramsey move inside. I'll give you a game right here where Cam Smith will play probably the boundary. What happens when we play Kansas City? Could you imagine Jalen Ramsey moving inside? Now he's guarding Kelsey. Now you have Xavier Howard and Cam Smith as your boundary guys. Because Cater Cahu is not a boundary guy. He's better in the inside. So this narrative that, Cam Smith ain't going to see the field. Yes, he is. He's going to get a lot of playing time this year. Once we start moving Jalen Ramsey all around the field, Cam Smith goes to that boundary. I love everything about the pick. He was from where you go, anywhere. I seen him graded as the 17th best player to the 30th best player. Where did you get him? At 51. The value is there. And I think the writing is on the wall. I think this is whether Xavier Howard has a good year or a bad year. I think it's his last year. I really do.
So overall, what do you give the Dolphins grade?
Again, A minus to B plus.
Okay.
I
don't think you can give them an A.
Why not?
because number one, they had to forfeit their first round draft pick. I mean, that alone, I think, makes you
But that
go
had
down
nothing to
a
do with
let.
the draft.
You automatically get a demerit. You automatically get a letter grade down for that alone, right? And then I don't think you can give them an A on top of that because it wasn't like they drafted the best player available or the best player available at that position in the draft. Now, there are some people, very limited, mind you, but there were some people that had Cam Smith in the top 3 of their draft board. Not a lot, but there was some. And I know that he was a projected 2 to 3 round draft pick, but I think a lot of that came with some off the field issues allegedly with him. So that's just my opinion of the Cam Smith. But Cam Smith overall, SEC player, played against some of the best receivers in all of college football, and was really, really good for all the years that he played in college, right? And so especially when he was at South Carolina. I think he's a solid pick as far as the player is concerned. I think he can be a solid player in the NFL for the next 10 years.
So why is people complaining about him then?
Because it's not what the Dolphins needed. They needed to address the O-line. They needed to address the tight end. And there were quality, if not elite players at those positions available in the second round and in the third. You could have went and got, and I'll keep bringing up their names. You can go get Schmidt in the second. You could have went and got Darnell Washington in the third. You address the offensive line and tight end, you're done. Bam. Then you can go back into the later rounds and you can go get a corner that has a lot of potential. You can go get a running back that's got speed. You could have gotten a corner with a lot of potential and high upside, low risk that you could have developed under these guys, and you could have gotten speed in the later rounds at running back. Really good speed, mind you.
Do you think the only reason we got Devin Achane is because of his speed? Is that the only thing? Because I keep hearing
100% yes.
No, it has nothing.
Yes.
Bro, no, it's not, Steven.
There's no way they drafted Devon Achane if that man didn't. What was his 40? What was his 40, y'all? It was the best 40 in the draft running back wise, right?
Yeah, like a 4.32, I think.
Okay,
something like
so
that.
if he didn't have the best, there's no way they pick him in the third round. None. They got him for his speed. Of course they did, Lewis. Stop kidding yourself.
I didn't say, but y'all making it seem like that's the only reason. The kid is a good player.
I'm not saying he's not. I'm not saying he's not. But he's a good player because of his speed. It's one of his attributes. It's one of his callings. And if he didn't have
not the only one.
It's not his only one. You are correct. But without that speed, he's not a third round pick. I know that.
It doesn't matter. You got great value on that kid. Doesn't matter. Bro, the reach of the draft, again, if we're going to be talking about reaches of the draft, it was in the 6th round going and getting Elijah Higgins.
No,
that's the reach.
So it's a huge reach, and it's a reach on many different levels. It's a reach because a lot of people had him. There were some people that were like, "Man, I don't even know if this guy would get drafted. Like he could have just fell and been an undrafted free agent, right?"
Well, Kuntz was still on the board when we picked Higgins. He's more of a traditional tight end if people want to complain. That's the reach. I don't know why people are so upset.
I want you to think about this. Let's think about this for a second. Let's say the Dolphins got Schmidt in the second. Let's say they did the same exact thing. Got
Achane in the third.
Got Achane in the third, and got Kuntz in the sixth. In the sixth.
Right.
Nobody here would be complaining at all. Not
yes,
one
they would.
Person. No, they shouldn't.
Nobody up here since I've been backstage and I've been listening. No one's up here mentioned Elijah Mitchell or Higgins. Everybody's been mentioning Cam Smith and Devin Achane. So yes, they would, Steven.
But in our theory, in our scenario, we would have gotten arguably the best center guard besides maybe Steve Avila in the draft with Schmidt, right? He was arguably the best, if not, he was top 3 at his position in the draft.
Okay.
No debate there with Schmidt, right? So we would have gotten him in the second. We would have addressed the center or guard position and either moved Connor back to guard or kept him at center. Those 2 positions done. Good. All we got to worry about is right tackle then. That's it. That's all we got to worry about.
Why do we have to worry about right tackle? See, this is the problem I have with people in the fan base. You're mentioning this is the root of the problem.
Why do we need to worry about right tackle, Lewis? Are you kidding me?
We can give Coach McDaniel all this praise, right? And I'm not taking a shot at Tua, but Coach McDaniel had never coached Tua a day in his life before he got here. He watched 700 plays, and he determined that he could work with Tua. He didn't have a lot of snaps this year with Austin Jackson. How do you know Coach McDaniel hasn't sat back and told Chris Greer, listen, I have evaluated this kid, I have watched film in this kid, and I can make Austin Jackson better? How do we know that?
I can only go off of what's happened, right?
But no, you were going off that McDaniel was going to turn Tua better, right? He hadn't done that, but we gave him the benefit of the doubt. So the question is, why can we not give him?
To be fair, and I love McDaniel, and I love him, but the only reason that McDaniel's a head coach in the NFL right now is because he was willing to work with Tua. I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. I'm gonna keep it a buck.
That's still not answering the question, though.
I understand that. What I'm telling you, you're asking me to say, hey man, why aren't we giving that same energy to him with
Austin Jackson?
With Austin Jackson. So here's why. Number one, Austin Jackson hasn't really proven anything yet, right? Good, bad, or indifferent. Number two, no point to McDaniel, no point to even Austin Jackson. He's had a revolving door of offensive line coaches. McDaniel's been here 1 year. He saw that Matt Applebaum was not the answer. By the way, you're talking to a guy who thought Matt Applebaum was going to be an answer. I was wrong. And he brought in Butch Berry. And he brought in Butch Berry because he's worked with Butch Berry before at San Francisco. And he said specifically at the end of the year press conference, he goes, yeah, man, I had to have Frank Smith, who's the offensive coordinator, in the offensive line room last year because I could not, and he didn't say this verbatim, but essentially what he was saying is I couldn't trust Matt Applebaum in the room alone. I needed somebody there to help implement what I was trying to create. And now that I have Butch Berry in the offensive line room, I don't have to worry about Frank Smith can then get out, and because I can trust Butch Berry will try to implement what I want. So yes, what we are hoping, Lewis, is that Butch Berry takes some of these players and moves them to the next level. But that's a big if, and that's a big question mark, considering the revolving door and the issues we've had with offensive line head coaches. You're asking me to believe in something that just hasn't happened yet. I'm not saying it can't. I'm not saying that you're wrong and as far as like wanting to bring that same energy, but understand why I'm not bringing that same energy. And I think I have valid points.
Right, and all your points are valid and they're well taken. That still didn't answer the question because it was the same scenario. Have we had a problem since the Dan Marino at playing quarterback? Have we had a problem?
Of course. Revolving door.
A revolving door. Have we had since Tua Tagovailoa has been the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins? Have we had concerns about Tua, whether it's on the field play or injury? But we gave the deference and we gave the benefit of the doubt to Coach McDaniel. So why, again, can we give that to Austin Jackson? Has anyone looked at the work that Austin Jackson's been putting in the offseason? Have you seen him? He looks great.
Hold on one second.
Like
Keep cooking.
He looks like he's in the best shape of his life, Steven. So again, I just think they got the value with a Cam Smith in the second round. They looked at it, and that was a Vic Fangio guy. I think Vic Fangio had a lot to say with this Cam Smith pick. I think the value.
I don't deny that. I think he had his hand in the cookie jar with this. 100% he did.
Okay, and the Devin A. Chain.
And by the way, I am not here saying that the Cam Smith is a bad pick as far as the player itself. Cam Smith, I think, could start it could be a 10-year starter in the league and be a Pro Bowl caliber corner.
Do you think he gets on the field this year, Steven?
Oh yeah, of course. He'll have significant playing time and make a significant contribution to the team.
Absolutely. So what's the problem? Like this narrative again?
Because we still have issues at the O line, Lewis, and tight end.
Let me ask you a question, Steven. The reason people want an offensive line is to help, let's say, the team, the running game, and Tua, right? Correct?
The reason we want an offensive line is because we don't have a solid one.
But we don't. Okay, here we go right here. 8-3. 13 weeks in last year, right?
Correct.
8-3, 13 games in. Do you know what their offensive line was ranked through the first 13 weeks of the season?
I don't have it off the top of my head or near me.
I believe they were the 13th ranked offensive line. And that's without Austin Jackson, right? Who knows if you wake up and we sign Cam Fleming from the right tackle from the Broncos? What happens if you bring in a DJ Fluker? Again, the offensive line didn't play bad last year.
Lewis, time out. And I got to get the two other people in the back. So here it is, Lewis. You are correct. The Dolphins, and I agree, and Kyle Krabs brought it up, and I want everybody to know I am the hopium dealer. I am all about hope. This guy right here, okay, cuz?
Sounds like hate today, Steven.
Look, it's not. It's just also reality. Just understand what I'm trying to tell you. All right, listen to me when I tell you this, Lewis. The Dolphins are putting their eggs in a basket of injured or older free agents that have some red flags, okay? Which, by the way, Chris Greer has a track record of doing anyway. And you're also asking us on the tight end side to, A, let a 6th-round draft pick and put our faith that he can be a contributor to this team, and also Eric Saubert. I like Eric Saubert. I think he's got potential, but am I putting my eggs in the basket that he's going to play a majority of the snaps this year? No. And I'm not doing that with Durham Smythe either, and I'm not doing that with Tanner Connor. Now, they could be, but then we're going to be asking, again, for Dolphins coaching staff to step up big and hope that these guys pan out, which means that we hope that the evaluation that the scouting department and Chris Greer's department did was a solid job. And there are question marks with Chris Greer. There's question marks with the scouting department. I like Chris Greer. I'm a Chris Greer fan. But these red flags don't just go away. They're there, and they're there for a reason. So I can have hope, but I can be optimistic that, hey, you're asking me to have hope in something that just has not happened at all.
Well, that goes for the whole team, though, Steven. What have we done?
No, it doesn't.
Like
I've seen success in other areas of the team. I've seen what they have to offer. What I have not seen is consistency from the offensive line. What I have not seen is, hell, and I'm a Tua fan. Everybody knows I love Tua. I haven't seen consistency for a whole year with Tua. I'm being real. I'm being a real fan. I'm being fair to the situation with all parties involved at every position. Wide receiver, I'm good with. Defensive line, I'm good with. Secondary, I'm really good with. Linebackers, I'm not questioning Vic Fangio, especially bringing in a guy like David Long. Do I think we still need to address the linebacking? Maybe with another one player or two. But overall, I'm not really questioning that defense at all, especially with Vic Fangio there. And the offensive side, McDaniel gave us a top 10 with all of the issues that we had last year. So I can admit that I'm like, hey,
with a horrible offensive line.
The offensive line has always been in question. Correct. It's always been a red flag.
Okay. But again, you just hit the nail on the head, and I'll get out of here because everybody else wants to come on. But with that horrible offensive line that everybody's worried about, we had a top 6 offensive unit, correct?
Top 10.
Okay. So if this defense gets into, let's say, top 12 to top 10, from going from 27 to top 12, top 10, is that not helping the overall aspect of the team?
100%.
Are we not going to? So why are we crying?
Because we want as much insurance policies as we can get, and the reality of the situation, my man, is
you don't know what Darnell Turner. You don't know what Darnell Washington's turning into. We don't know that.
We don't know.
We don't know what that guy Smith is turning into. We can say he's a 10-year offensive lineman.
So Lewis, here's the thing. This is the last thing I'm going to say to you, Lewis, and then I'm going to go to Dolphin Don, and I got that Dolphins realtor too. Here's the thing that I'm going to tell you, Lewis. I said it a little bit ago. If the Dolphins draft Schmidt, let's just say they did in the second round, and Schmidt were to whiff, you could have still had. Well, he was high on everybody's draft board. That one just didn't work out. Like, he was the right pick there. He was the smart and right pick at a position of need. You it just didn't work out, right? Like bad, and I use the word just bad luck, right? If Cam Smith doesn't work out, not only is it crap and bad luck, it was the wrong pick to begin with. And we never should have got him in the first place. If A-Chain doesn't work out, it was a bad pick to begin with. It wasn't the right pick. So not only was the evaluation bad, the pick was bad. So on all accounts, I can live with picking Darnell Washington and him being a bust because at the third round, he was the best tight end available. We needed a tight end. He had first round potential. He was slated in first round mock drafts all over the country. And if
There's
we
a
got him in
reason
the
why he
third
fell,
round
though.
and he still were to bust, man, it's just what it was. It was the right pick, though. I have no problem with the Dolphins did. It just didn't work out for him. But I'm going to tell you right now, if Devon A-Chain doesn't work out, what a waste of a damn pick, bro. Waste of a pick.
Running back is not a position of need, though, Steven?
It is. I'm not saying that it's
So
not.
how-
But
so-
in the
so
third
how's it a
round, that's
waste?
not where I would have went.
Why? You got an explosive player that can do multiple things, especially in the special teams game as well.
I get it, but didn't you just bring in Braxton Berrios for special teams?
I don't think so. I think, that's what you guys are thinking. I think Braxton Berrios is going to be a great inside guy, slot guy.
I think he'll be, by the way, we hope that he will be, right? And for all intents and purposes, he has the GOAT of slot receivers working with him, Wes Welker.
Absolutely,
Okay?
1,000%.
I agree with that, okay? But, look, there's red flags there, and that's just how I'm choosing to look at it. Now, I don't think that they're bad picks. Again, I just want to say that as far as the players themselves are concerned. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do some social media videos later on today that are going to hopefully give some fans a good reason on why these could be very good picks. Because I want the hope to be out there because I think it's there. It's there. But I also want to be serious, at least as far as on the show, to be like, I have my reservations about it too. And that's all I'm asking for people like you that are saying, oh my God, this is a great draft. No, this was good players, good value, but I don't know if it was a great draft per se.
I cannot believe what this show has turned into. I got to be the voice of reason and come and walk you off the ledge. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. What has this show come to? Hey, listen, you're not a hopium dealer. You're a hater dealer.
I'm a hater dealer today, huh?
You are straight spitting and selling hate out here in the community. It's ridiculous, Stephen.
Lewis,
I'm not proud of you today. Listen, I'm gonna get out of here, Stephen. I'm just gonna tell you this last thing. I'm gonna tell you something that you tell me all the time. These are some of the worst takes I think I've ever heard you say, Stephen.
Oh my God!
All right, do better, Stephen. Get better, okay? Because this has been ridiculous today. All right, you're turning into one of these toxic channels, Stephen. I just want you to know.
I'm toxic. Okay. You're the worst, Lewis.
Hey,
the worst.
I love you.
I love you
bro.
too, baby. Be good, man.
Later.
Bye. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. I do love Lewis. That's my guy. All right. A couple more people, and then we're going to get, a matter of fact, I'm going to turn off the link. I got 2 more people left. And then I'm going to give my final thoughts. So we'll take the last 2 people here, and that is first person is Dolphin Don. Good morning, Dolphin Don.
What's up, Steven, man?
How are you?
Oh, dude, I'm ecstatic. I'm just like Lewis, man, and I'm here to help you out. And all the Dolphins fans out there who hate the draft, oh, we did so terrible with 2 picks in the first 5 rounds, at giving us like C and D ratings and all this kind of mess. Come on now. I got some good news for you.
All right, I'm here. I'm all ear.
All right. Now, X, how would he compare to somebody like, say, Sauce Gardner last year? What kind of stats did he perform or anything?
Sauce Gardner was one of the best draft prospects in the last 20 years at his position. You can't compare that, Dolphin Don.
Yes, you can, because
no, you
X is who we're trying to sit here and protect and say, oh, he's the future of our team. No. He's gone.
Did I say that X was the future of our team?
No, but you're acting like there's a terrible pick to get this guy.
Never said that it was a terrible pick.
Well, yes, you kind of did. You're kind of poo-pooing on it. You're saying, well, yeah, we should have got a lineman.
All right, so time out. You want me to sit here? All right, so let's play this out.
All right.
Let's go. Do you like? First question I have for you, Dolphin Don. Do
All
you
right.
like the 6th round draft pick that we got in Higgins?
I'm okay with it. I'm not like on the, like I'm okay with it.
Most people that are arguing against me, like you and Lewis, do like the pick. So let's go under the assumption, just for the sake of the conversation, that you like the pick, right?
Yeah. Okay.
You want me to be okay with the pick and say, oh my God, look, he's got potential, he's got value, they
Yeah.
can coach him up, they can do all these things, right?
Okay.
Why isn't it the same where if they got at a position of need at a top value pick in the 2nd round, aka Schmidt, and then in the 6th decided to pick a corner with value, high upside, low risk, high reward that they can coach up and pick? Why they could have done the same exact thing and still added depth to the secondary at a young player that could potentially be coached up. And we all know that they're good at finding value in the secondary with late round or undrafted free agents. It's not like they're not. And they could have gotten a starting center / guard with the second pick, or with the 2nd round pick.
I told you, man.
Use the argument both ways, Dolphin Don.
No. I'm here to help you, man. So would you consider Schmidt more of a reach than, say, Cam Smith?
No, Schmidt should have been. He was considered a 2nd round pick. Could have been the 1st pick in the 2nd round. He was anywhere in the 2nd round is where he was supposed to go.
Position be damned. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I think Smith is a higher prospect in my book. Also, he's going to be good for the team. Now, the good news, the very good news, and the stuff I didn't bring up is Chris Greer himself said we're open to all options. They're still working on this offensive line. I don't think this is going to be the iteration of the line that we're going to be expected to see come September. So I think that.
And by the way, Kyle Krabs this morning said as much. I agree as much. But you're still wanting me to say, oh, my God, Cam Fleming's the savior of this offensive line. Oh, my God, I really hope DJ Fluker works out and Brandon Shell improves upon what he was last year. No. Come on, man.
Fair, but I
fair
still think
situation.
I am being fair. I still think Cam Smith is the best move because he played against top tier.
Was the best move?
Yeah, dude. I'm sorry. I'm going to give this draft an A.
Move, not necessarily for the Dolphins per se, but it's a good move. I'm not denying his talent.
Oh,
have I once said any negative thing about his talent this morning?
No, but you kind of poo-poo on a little bit. You say, "Oh, we should have got this because we should have got this offensive lineman that you wanted."
Okay, well, that too, right? I that is true. He was the guy there. But let's say even they decided to go tight end. They could have went tight end there. They could have.
Yeah, I would have had a problem with that.
Well, I said as much. I said I didn't want them their first pick to be a tight end, but they could have.
They could have.
All right. And to be fair, I said that I said here's predictions that I had. I said tight end would not be the first pick that they had. Bing, bing. Yep, there we go. Correct about that. Okay.
There you go.
I said that if the Dolphins had an opportunity to draft a high-value defensive player, that they would trade back. Now, they didn't do that because I think that they could have traded back, gained a draft pick, and still gotten Cam Smith probably. Just want to throw that out there.
I mean, that's hypothetical. I don't know if we can.
It was a good move. Cam Smith is a good draft pick. You heard me say it. I'm here to say it. It was not the best move the Dolphins could have made at 51. And I'll scream that to the top of my lungs till the day that I die. Even if Cam Smith becomes a 10-year starter in the NFL with 2 or 3 Pro Bowl appearances.
Okay, so your overall draft grade for this year was what?
C+.
C+.
Yep.
You still going to stand on that mountain when you see what Cam Smith is doing against Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen?
I just said it, Dolphin Don. I said if Cam Smith turns out to be a 10-year starter in the NFL, becomes, a perennial Pro Bowler, yes, I'm still going to stand on that mountain and say, because you want to know why, Dolphin Don?
Why's
Because
that?
I will guarantee you that 51 or later, there will be a Hall of Famer that comes out of that pick, a perennial Pro Bowler that comes out of that pick 51 or later. Come see me in 15 years, Dolphin Don, or 20 years when I'm correct about that. And you'll be like, you know what, Steven? You were right. You were right about it, man. You were right. Okay? I'm trying to tell you, man. It just, I'm not saying that Cam is bad. I like Cam, and I'm going to be very happy he's going to be a Miami Dolphin. As a matter of fact, Cam Smith will probably make some game-winning plays for the Dolphins this year.
Facts. Okay? We just got Sauce Gardner.
But we did not just get Sauce
Yes,
Gardner.
we did. I'll say it.
That man.
I'll say it. We did.
I hate him. He's a Jet. I will forever hate him. But man, put some respect on that man's name. Cam Smith in no way, shape, or form is Sauce Gardner. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, Dolphin Don?
Seen the man play.
I can't believe those words just came out of your mouth.
Hey,
Sauce Gardner was a top 10 pick. That's such a wild take, bro. That's a wild take.
That's a true take, though. Look at the defense he's playing on.
I'm dream.
All right.
That's what you're doing. You're dreaming.
Okay, you're probably right. We don't know nothing. That's a good point. That's another good point, because a lot of cats out there saying, well, the Philadelphia Eagles can't be beat now. And I'll just say, hey, Jamarcus Russell was taken number 1. And I thought, well, the Raiders are going to be awesome. So, yeah, nobody knows. That's for sure. I'll give you that.
And I have never said one bad thing about Cam Smith today. And I'm getting labeled as a hater and that I'm hating on this draft. No, I'm being realistic of this draft.
Kind of low key are, man. You're poo-pooing on him a little bit, man.
I am not. There's no way. And you got L Box says, for real, bro, that man is Sauce Jr.
Thank you.
I'll tell you what. Let's hold on. Let's go look. Sauce. Hold on. I'm going to do this for you. Here's what we're going to do. Gardner stats. All right. Last year, Sauce Gardner had. Okay.
Pretty damn good.
I want to make sure I say this right. He had 51 solo tackles, 24 assists, for a total of 75 total tackles, whether they were assisted or solo. He had 2 interceptions and was the NFC Player of the Year last year. NFC Defensive Player of the Year last year,
AFC.
was he not?
Yeah, AFC.
Or AFC. I'm sorry. I said NFC. AFC Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year last year, right?
Yep.
Okay. If Cam Smith, Dolphin Don, has better tackles, more tackles, and more interceptions than Sauce Gardner, and makes the Pro Bowl and becomes AFC Defensive Player of the Year, I will never question anything you ever say again, Dolphin Don. I promise you I won't. I'll be like, nope. Dolphin Don knew. He knew he was Sauce Jr. Matter of fact, he was better than Sauce. So look, I will shut up, the Dolphin Don. I'll let you have control of the show. This is the moment I wish I still bet, and I don't bet no more. But man, if I did, I'd put it all on this. I'd bet it all right here. I promise you I would.
My goodness.
I would, Dolphin Don.
All right. So let's go by snaps. Okay, so let's compare his play by snaps, because I don't think he's going to get that many snaps with X still playing. He's still going to play a good role,
but he's Sauce Jr. He's Sauce Jr. Dolphin Don.
He is
that good. He's going to play over X. He's going to play over him.
You know what? He just might. All right, cool. I will not bet you a soda pop if I ever see you at a Dolphins game. How about them apples?
Don't give me a
that work?
No, we're not doing it. We're not. I'm just
okay. All right.
I will say this right now. He will not.
I will buy you a beer. How about that?
I will not. Cam Smith will not have better numbers than Sauce Gardner next year. It won't do it. Won't do it.
Okay, I don't know. He's gonna have lots of opportunity, man, and the Fangio defense. Got to be excited about that, man.
Well, I can't wait for his 76 tackle and his third interception next year, because I ain't never going to hear the end of it from you.
that makes two of us. That makes two of us. And another thing, we ain't even broached this
subject. You're right. Oh my God, I hope you're right.
Right? Hey, hope until you can't. But here's the next one, man. David, I can't even say his name. A-Chain.
Yep.
Devon A-Chain. Yeah. Does anybody else see Brandon Ayuk in that cat?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I think that
right?
was like a player comparison that people were saying on social media.
Okay, somebody beat it.
Yeah.
Beat it
I again, I have a difficult time fully questioning, and you look at the word I used in front of questioning.
Right.
Fully questioning McDaniel, who gave us a top 10 offense last year, right? If he likes A-Chain and thinks that he's a difference maker with the speed that he gets,
right?
I get it. I understand the pick to a certain extent. I understand that he is looking. I understand what McDaniel wants to create. I just don't like that they didn't. And I can admit that. I can admit that I hate on the pick a little bit, because where is the offensive line help? Where's the tight end help? I don't see it. And if you go tell me to look in the 6th round with the Higgins pick, you want me to believe that a converted wide receiver from Stanford is our saving grace at tight end?
I don't know that. I don't know that.
that.
I don't know that, but yeah, as far as value goes, I really like them first 2 picks, man. That's all we had in the first 5 rounds of this draft. So I'm okay with it. And like I said, he's not done. We're still talking to Cooks, or we're Cook, excuse me, and we're still talking with these linemen. I heard Lawan is part of the deal, or is on the radar too. So things ain't as doomy and gloomy as people might say. Yeah.
By the way, and here's the messed up part. I'm going to get labeled that I hate these picks today and that I thought the draft was horrible. I think a C+ is a decent draft. And I think the only reason I'm giving it a C+ is not because of the players, not because of the picks themselves, but because of the need that we need. Matter of fact, I said alone. What did I say alone? I gave it a C+, right, Dolphin Don?
Right.
I said you don't get an A straight off the bat because you didn't get the pick in the first round, because it was forfeited because of the BS that we dealt with, right?
Well, you can blame that on Tua, but anyway.
Well, I said you lost a letter grade already there. Before you even get a chance to draft anybody, you are starting at a B+. That's the best you can do, in my opinion.
Okay.
So let's say you take that away and you get that letter grade back because they get a first round pick. Right?
Okay.
I could give this a B+ then.
Okay. Then we're on the same team, brother.
Is that a fair statement?
That's absolutely fair, man. Because I feel like
you automatically lose a letter grade because you missed a first round pick when you desperately needed one.
Right. And also this the cornerback position is we're not as stuffed at that as you might think. If we got a chance to add that kind of talent to replace the heir apparent, to be the heir apparent to X, we whiffed on Benogany. So yeah, that room needs a little bit of an upgrade, and he was available. That's all I'm going to say about that.
You're right. All right, so, Dolphin Don, I love you.
Love you back, man. Everybody be blessed.
Huh? Hey, man, I appreciate it, man. And hit the like button, donate to the channel, help the channel grow, share the link, do all that fun stuff. But you've been here since almost day one, Dolphin Don. I appreciate it, man. You're the man, brother.
Nah, you are, man. Linky likey.
I appreciate it, man. Be good.
Right. Peace.
Dolphin Don is one of the best individuals you ever talk to in life. That man just brightens up your day just by having a conversation to him. Except he said that Cam Smith was Sauce Jr., and I think that's very disrespectful by Sauce Gardner. I hope that I hope I'm wrong. I hope I've never been more wrong in my life, and I've been wrong before. Y'all know that. But I hope I'm wrong about that one. I hope. All right, last person, final person of the day. That Dolphins realtor. What's up, my guy?
What is up, Stephen D? How are you, buddy?
Dude, your Twitter account is great, by the way. I just want to throw that out there. I love your Twitter account.
I'm getting a lot of flack right now.
Don't let the hater, dude. I like your Twitter account. It's a good Twitter account.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. But hey, I have this idea here that I wanted to kind of paint a picture because I feel like I'm like in line with the Dolphins and McDaniel and what he wants right now.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at Tua's numbers, right, last year, he's got the longest yards per completion per attempt. And every time he sits in the pocket, his QBR just goes down, which indicates, and especially because he's not using a check down, that he needs a safety valve.
Okay.
So I think that when they are looking at best players available and what they actually need, they're looking at guys that can be that check down, that safety valve. That's why Devin Achane was priority, because the guy brings something that these other guys don't. I mean, Jeff Wilson is good out of the backfield, but Raheem Mostert can't. But he's the actual featured back. So now we have two featured backs. And I think, honestly, they're going to move on Dalvin Cook.
Achane is 100% unequivocally, without a doubt, 100% USDA grade McDaniel. That was a McDaniel pick if I've ever seen one. Nobody else had a say in that pick except McDaniel. McDaniel saw him. McDaniel scouted him. McDaniel wanted him. I have never been more confident in saying that is, I know who picked that was. Achane is 100% a Mike McDaniel pick.
But wouldn't you be comfortable if you knew that you were getting Reggie Bush in a McDaniel offense?
That's a big statement, bro.
But I mean, 4.32, and the guy has vision for days. So I'm not saying he is Reggie Bush, but what if he is?
I mean,
don't you have to try on that?
Okay, let's pause this conversation for a second. When we were going into the draft, where and what did you want the Dolphins to address in the draft?
Me personally, I wanted offensive line, tight end, but I had a few guys that were very specific.
Okay.
If it wasn't Dalton Kincaid or Matthew Bergeron or better, I was off it.
Okay. Well, Schmidt was a great pick and was available there in the second round for us.
I was looking at him too, especially in the third round. That was crazy.
Okay. He was there in the second. And then what did you think of Darnell Washington? Did you like Darnell?
No, John Michael Schmitz was there in the third.
Was he there in the third? Okay. All right. So be it. It
was crazy, but I mean, they must really like.
So he was there with the second and the third pick. So let's say, for all intents and purposes, they still go Cam Smith in the first with the second round pick, our first pick, and you go get Schmidt with the second. I've got no problem then with Cam Smith being your first. Right? I have no problem. I'm not going to argue. And then Kuntz or any natural tight end. I don't care who it is at this point. Just give me a natural tight end. Was available in the 6th and 7th round. And I'm sure you could have found somebody with high upside, low risk, high reward, because that's basically what you're doing in the 6th or 7th round. You're just getting guys with high upside and low risk. That's all you're doing in the 6th.
I think they got a poor man Sam Laporta and Elijah Higgins. Far off.
That is a stretch. The man didn't play tight end in college. Come on.
I know. I'm saying that he is extremely developmental. He might not even come close to a starting tight end, but I'm saying that's what they're hoping for out of life.
Okay, that statement is fair. Yes, that's what they are hoping for. They are hoping to convert a man and hope that he becomes some great thing. Okay, so Achane, to go back to your thing about Achane, does he have a chance to be a great player in the NFL? Sure does. Sure does. I'm not denying that he doesn't. He's got a chance to be a Pro Bowler. He's got a chance to be first team, all team, maybe. I mean, that might be a stretch, but he's got a chance to be a really good football player I'll take that back. here's my blanket statement about A-Chain. He has a chance to be a really good running back in the NFL that contributes and plays a lot of snaps over a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But again, you and I both agreed that we needed to address the O-line and tight end. And in theory, we didn't do that.
I thought that they were going to be on an inline tight end type scenario. I thought they were going Darnell Washington, maybe Brenton Strange later. They didn't. They didn't do that for whatever reason.
Who was talking about some Strange the whole week leading up to the draft? This guy. Strange went high.
He did.
He got picked high. I'm telling you right now, that kid's going to be a monster. Monster.
I believe you.
And Juice Scruggs, he also went.
Well, he sure did.
You know, and I just think that I'm not saying that Cam Smith is a bad pick. I'm not saying that A-Chain is a bad pick. They're great players. They're great talent. They have potential to contribute to the Miami Dolphins over the next 5 years. Easy.
But Steven,
what if the Dolphins needed?
What if he's Reggie Bush? What if he is? What if Cam Smith is Marshawn Lattimore?
Are we one player away from a Super Bowl?
I think we were a position away, and I think that position had to involve a safety valve for Tua because of what I mentioned before. His QBR goes down in time when he has time to pass. It's because he doesn't have opportunity. After the initial the initial wide receivers are running their routes, something dies and he doesn't have an opportunity. They need to add that opportunity in, whether it's going to be tight end, whether it's going to be running back on a check down in the flat, whatever. And I think that's what they were thinking.
I hear you. And I don't think that you're wrong in well, how about this? I don't want to say wrong. I just want to say it's a very good theory that you have about the potential for A-Chain. Okay? Very good potential you have for him. And I don't think that it's out of this world to think that that could happen. I'm just telling you that, again, my beef with the picks are not with the players themselves. And it's not with the system that is designed. Because as much as I just said A-Chain is 100% unequivocally, without a doubt, 100% USDA McDaniel, I can say the same exact thing about Cam Smith and Vic Fangio. Cam Smith, without a doubt, was 100% USDA certified Vic Fangio prime rib real estate product, whatever you want to call it. That man was it.
Mm-hmm.
He fits Vic Fangio's what he's trying to do to a T. He's trying to stockpile and just get the best value he can get in that secondary because he doesn't want to get beat with the wide receivers and the quarterbacks that we have in this division and who we're playing against this year. He knew the secondary issues that we had last year. He knew what happened when they get decimated. But if 1 through 8 in the secondary are all beasts and are all monsters, that should lessen your chances of getting beat and giving up points against your opposition this year. It should, in theory. Okay.
He's got intellect and instinct, and that's what you need in a Fangio defense.
Correct.
But I will say this, Stephen D. I would have taken that bet against you about Sauce Gardner, but it would have been specific because there is no way that Cam Smith is going to get the same amount of looks as Sauce Gardner. He's also not going to have to deal with the same amount of
scrutiny,
competition. So per snap, I think Cam Smith can actually maybe do better than Sauce Gardner because Sauce is going to have everyone. But he's a dog. He's top 2, top 3 at least.
Sauce Gardner?
Yeah.
Sauce Gardner's, I'll say it. I have no problem saying it. Best cornerback in the NFL.
He might be.
I don't even think it's a question. Sauce Gardner's that dude, and I hate that he plays for the Jets, and I'm going to hate him for the next 10 years, and I'm going to cuss up his name up and down Yes, 100%. 100%. 100%. Okay.
Yeah.
Look, I hear everybody, and I hear you. Cam Smith will be a good player for the Dolphins. A-Chain has the potential and high likelihood that he will be a very productive and good player for the Miami Dolphins. I definitely question the Elijah Higgins pick in the 6th round, and I don't think Ryan Hayes will do much of anything, in my personal opinion. Could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But
do you like Tanner Connor, and that's why they took Elijah Higgins, or they're moving off Tanner Connor, and that's why they took Elijah Higgins?
It's so funny because Dolphin fans that I have spoken to, for some reason, have it in their thing. Oh, they're happy with Durham Smythe. Oh, they're happy with Tanner Connor, and they brought in Sauber, and the Dolphins are good with these tight ends. Do y'all understand that the Dolphins broke camp with 5 tight ends last year that didn't include Ingold, who played a lot of snaps at the tight end position last year? Y'all do understand that, right?
Yeah, but one was a waste of space, though. Mike Gesicki was a waste. So I'm just saying 4, not
Mike
5.
Gesicki was not a waste. He just didn't fit the scheme that the Dolphins had, and you couldn't get rid of. So you're saying that, but you still have to do addition by subtraction, right? Like you have to say, okay, look, even if Gesicki wasn't there would have been somebody of caliber that was there to do that. What I am explaining to you, that Dolphins realtor, is that the Miami Dolphins, when it's all said and done, I believe will break camp with 4 or 5 tight ends. Maybe not 5, but maybe 4 at least. I don't think any less than 4. Yeah. And if next year my tight ends are Tanner Connor, Durham Smythe, Eric Saubert, and Elijah Higgins, bro, you're asking me to put a lot of faith and a lot of question marks.
There's a bunch of them for sure.
And a lot of question marks. And then by the way, go look at the undrafted free agents that they picked. 1 tight end from Campbell University, Julian Hill. Nobody else here is tight end. So you know what that also tells me in these undrafted free agents? That they are not one of 2 things. One of 3 things. And it's actually more like 2A, 2B. So one of 2 with 2 caveats on the second one. Either A, they have an opportunity to maybe go after somebody in free agency or the trade market, which I don't know who that would be in the tight end position.
He's kind of off the board, especially since Foster Moreau found out about the Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Correct.
And that was my guy.
And then 2A and 2B is they're either very happy with what they currently have, or, and it's really or, okay, that they just don't give the tight end enough credit in this type of offense. Like they don't value the tight end the way that we think that they do. And why do we think that? Because we saw what George Kittle was in San Francisco with Mike McDaniel, and we don't have that here. Mm-hmm. So, of course, they have to value tight end. Maybe they just don't value tight end that well.
But if they had the chance to get a George Kittle, they would. And it's just so impossible to get a George Kittle, somebody that can block multiple levels and then go out and catch.
People will make the argument to you that Darnell Washington has the upside to be potential. I'm not saying you will. Potential to be a top 5, top 3 tight end in this league.
I just don't think he does. I don't like that he had a 33.
I'm not saying you will, and I'm not saying I necessarily agree. I'm just saying you can find people that will give you that argument. He was slated to be the number 1 or 2 tight end off the board, and he wasn't. He wasn't even close.
Mm-hmm. But this is what I think that tells you. How we have our tight end group until it changes, until we get our George Kittle. I think that they are trying to move the ball faster out, not slower. I think that it actually really shows that they're not trying to have Tua sit in the pocket for a long time. You know, their goal is to get these slot receivers.
You know that because McDaniel told you as much. He said, look, this offense is based on timing and speed. So if I have a track meet at the wide receiver positions, which is ultimately what I have right now, and the running back, it's all about timing.
100%.
Everybody gives TD a fit that his take is, well, Tua's a spot thrower. To a certain extent, TD's not wrong about that take. I think he is more than a spot thrower. Let me just throw that out there. But this offense is predicated about being in the right place at the right time. That's what this entire offense is based on. Run your route, be where you're supposed to be at, when you're supposed to be at it, and Tua is going to get the ball there to you because he's got a good release and can get the ball thrown in the spots that it needs to be thrown. That's what this offense is predicated on. Tight end, we had a top 5 tight end in the NFL in Gesicki. We didn't utilize him. And to be fair, he was not even a true tight end because he couldn't block for crap. Talent-wise,
it sounds like you just convinced yourself, Stephen D, because you told me it's all about timing and speed. So Devon A-Chain seems to be the right pick.
No, Devon A-Chain. And by the way, I said as much all morning. I didn't convince myself of nothing because I've said it all morning. He fits McDaniel's prototype offense. Speed. And speed kills in this offense. So we better hope that A, Tua stays healthy. We all need to hope that and think that. But B, more importantly, besides that, is that this offense runs without a hitch with the timing that it is.
But we're one piece away on the line. I mean, if you get Cam,
I don't think we're one piece away on the line. We're 2 or 3 pieces away.
Rated at 72 and 70 the past 2 years. That's pretty good.
All right, so listen to me. You have to have a backup to Teron Armstead because he doesn't play the whole year, right?
Yep.
You need a left guard, or you need a center to if Connor moves over to left guard. But for all intents and purposes, you need a left guard, right? And you need a right tackle. You need a solid backup to Teron. You need a guard, a starting guard, and you need a starting right tackle, and you probably need a swing man that can play every position on the offensive line. You need 4 other offensive linemen that are currently not on this roster, at minimum 3.
Okay.
And you're hoping that Cam Fleming, DJ Fluker, and who's the other guy? Brandon Shell are going to be those 3 guys.
I don't think Shell's coming back. I know his.
I don't think so either. I hope he does. I pray that he does. But if he's not back already, I don't see how they are, which again is stupid because he played good for us last year.
I know. I agree.
He was actually a bright spot on the offensive line.
I'm friends with members of his family, and they're like, he wants to get paid. He feels like it.
And he should get paid. And the Dolphins, by the way, here's the thing when it comes to that. He wants to get paid as a starter. And I don't know if he's quite there as a starter. Maybe he is. I don't know. But if he's got a chance to get paid triple the money than what the Dolphins are paying him, how can you be mad at him taking that deal? Can't be.
He's still not signed, though.
You're right. He's not. Because everybody was waiting to see what happened in the draft. And there's the second wave of free agency, but you're not going to see most of it till post June 1st when money frees up around the NFL. And then at that point, I think you'll see him move. There's first waves of free agency and there's second waves. And most of the second waves don't occur till post June 1st. You'll see a few signings here or there over the next week and a half. But most people are going to wait till June 1st.
If they get a right tackle, you think they move AJ to guard?
Possible.
Because if he can fit that, I mean, that's going to help us a lot.
It's going to be what Butch Barry believes is the best move for the offensive line. And again, we're asking Butch Barry, who there are rumors saying that the players hated him in Denver. I don't know how true that is or not. I'll say if Cam Fleming comes to Miami knowing Butch Barry's here, those rumors were BS. I'll say that. That's what I think. But let's say that is the case. You know, like you want me to put faith in a guy who's been a revolving door at stops around the NFL for the last 15 years? and apparently players don't like him. I don't know.
Cam Fleming?
No, I'm talking about Butch Berry, the offensive line coach.
Oh, Butch Berry, yeah.
Because essentially he's going to be the X factor of how well this offensive line does this year, because McDaniel said as much. He said the reason I brought in Butch Berry and let go of Matt Applebaum is because Matt Applebaum, I needed Frank Smith to be in those offensive line meetings because he wasn't Matt Applebaum. He didn't say in so many words, but he wasn't installing or instituting the type of offensive line that he wanted for his offense to run. And so he had to have Frank Smith in there as a caveat or a safety net to make sure that he was teaching whatever he taught. Well, this year he doesn't need that. This year, Frank Smith can help with the offensive scheme, which I hope puts something off of his plate as far as McDaniel's concerned, that he can bounce off ideas and have somebody else in the room with him when he's trying to put a game plan together. And, I think that will help him. I think that will make him feel more confident. But as far as the offensive line is concerned, Butch Berry, we hope Butch Berry's the guy. And how will we know Butch Berry's the guy? If he gets renewed, if he comes back next year. And honestly, the only way he comes back next year is if this team wins a minimum of 2 playoff games.
I'm going to know if Butch Berry's the guy if Liam Eichenberg gets cut from the team before the 53.
That's not going to – I'll tell you right now that won't happen. I'll tell you right now that won't happen. Too much invested in Liam Eichenberg.
I mean, he was the worst graded guard in the league last year.
And maybe he is, but he's going to be on the – I'm going to tell you right now, if Noah Benogany was on this roster last year, and honestly, he probably was only because the issues we had in the secondary.
Mm-hmm.
But if that man found a way to dress and play last year, then Liam Eichenberg will find a way to play and dress this year.
Yeah, it makes me nervous. I don't understand why we're not talking to guards. I mean, talk about Denver Broncos linemen. Why are we not talking to Dalton Risner?
You're preaching to the choir. And hence why I can't give this team better than a C+ for this draft. I love Cam Smith. I love the pick. I love Devon Achane. Love the pick. But it was not the correct pick for the Miami Dolphins with the 2nd round and 3rd round. It just wasn't. It just wasn't. You can argue with me if you want. You can argue with me that they're good players, but that's never my argument to you. My argument is they didn't address the needs that the Dolphins had, and they could have got value at positions of need. And
Cam Smith is value. He's future value because X is coming off of his.
It's not even future value. He'll make a difference this year.
I know, but I'm saying X is going to be able to be cut, and it's probably going to be necessary next year.
That's fine. So be it. You address that, but it's going to be all for nothing if the Dolphins, and I know this sounds negative, and I know I'll get killed for it, but I don't care. It will mean absolutely jack, you know what, if the Dolphins don't win football games this year. It'll all be for nothing.
No doubt.
And by the way, that's the same thing with the with the Achane pick. Achane is a Mike McDaniel pick. If Mike McDaniel's not here next year, neither is Achane.
No, you think? I mean, he's a rookie in the 3rd round.
Okay, so maybe he's here, but he won't be utilized in the way that whoever the new offensive coordinator will be.
Yeah.
And you know that's true.
Not so.
And I agree with you. And by the way, I don't expect it. Here's what I expect. For those of you who are watching, I expect the Dolphins to win. I expect the Dolphins to go to, at minimum, the AFC Championship game this year. I do. No doubt about it. And they have the potential to get into the Super Bowl. But they have to address the tight end. And they have to address the O-line. If they decide not to address the tight end and the O-line, I still think they got a shot. But if this offensive line looks exactly how it looks now on May the 1st, on September 1st, buddy, I'm going to be scared out of my mind about the season. Nervous. And I can admit that. And I think we all should.
I hear you, man.
So, I don't know. All right, man. Keep doing you on Twitter. I like your tweets, man. Tell the people what's your Twitter handle.
This is that Dolphins Realtor.
Dude, go check out my man on Twitter.
Thanks, brother.
Twitter game strong.
God bless. Keep doing
God
you.
bless, man. Be good, man. I appreciate it, brother.
Later.
All right. What a day. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show. Clock blockers. Flip floppers. The hater show. The hopium show. You name it, we got it. We got everything that fits your needs. We got the takes that'll make you quake. We got the takes that'll make you shake. We got it all right here on Clock Blockers, the #1 Miami fan morning show. I love you guys. You guys are the best fans in the world. I want to say thank you to Kyle Krabs this morning. Great interview. I'm going to have that separated and picked up. That'll be uploaded a little bit later to the channel, so be on the lookout for that. I got some really good stuff coming out on social media, hopefully this afternoon or later on this evening about the picks that we had. And I think you guys will like it. So follow me at Stephen D, SKPL, spread kindness, positivity, and love. And if you don't know what it is and you want to see it one time, let me break it down for y'all. At Stephen D, SKPL, spread kindness, positivity, and love. If you guys enjoyed the show today, donate to the channel, help the channel grow, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. If you're not subscribed, we can't grow. Okay? So make sure you subscribe and you hit the like button and let people know that we're here. I want to appreciate and thank every single person that watched this morning. It was a lot of fun. Tomorrow's Hot Take Tuesday. I'm going to have a co-host with me. I don't know who it's going to be. I hope it's going to be Nando. If Nando's not going to be here, I already got a person in the back that will come on, but hope Nando's on tomorrow with me and we'll get his takes. Hot Take Tuesday. And then Wednesday, it's Wildin' Out Wednesday. So that should be a lot of fun too. Make sure you guys check out Wildin' Out Wednesday on Wednesday. And then Thursday I'll have Cameron on with me, and Friday I'll have Jason Sarney, and just got a lot of good content all around. So thank you guys for supporting the channel. I hope you guys enjoyed everything today. Be on the lookout for the Kyle Krabs interview. Even if you saw the show this morning, make sure you hit the like button on that when it gets uploaded and share it. And even today's show, okay? Can't grow without y'all's help. Y'all are the best. Miami Dolphin fans rule. I know it sounds like, according to Cesar, I woke up this morning and chose violence. I didn't. Spread hate, non-belief, and lies. I see you, Steven. See. Violent Monday. Well, y'all are something else today. There you go, everyone. The Miami Dolphins made the wrong picks because Stephen D said so. And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. I had a beer. I had another beer. That was me at the winery. We had a wine. We drank another wine. Another wine. And another wine. I need y'all to say what when I was saying it. What? Y'all are the best. I love doing this show every day, and I can't do it. I can't keep doing it unless y'all support it. So please support it monetarily, hitting the like button, sharing, everything. Can't do it. Y'all are the best. Okay? So let's keep this ride going. If y'all need anything, I'm here for you. Always remember, spread kindness, positivity, and love. Don't spread the hate or the negativity. Can't believe y'all spreading hate and negativity on the channel this morning. How could you? Y'all the best. I love y'all. We'll see y'all tomorrow right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. Peace.
Bro, who that? To a time, time to grind, time to shine. To a time, time to grind, time to shine.